Pause. No. Keep going.
Hey, good, how are you up there?
Just waiting for Dan.
Right off the cold?
All right, hold on.
Yeah, got them better. 3 meetings in this.
Go ahead and start. Hopefully Dan will join us. This is our monthly city council meeting. It's September the 16th, 2025. With that, we'll do the roll call
Mayor Ikorst,
here.
Councilor Pendergrass,
Here.
Councilor Phillips,
Here.
Councilor Reisdorfer,
Here.
Councilor Spring.
Will join us. Okay, first item on our agenda is the agenda. And I would like to amend the agenda in light of a memo that, this is in regards to the discussion points, Jim, that you had, and I believe there was a memo that Jason sent us
Today.
late afternoon.
Got it.
If that suffice, could we remove those discussion points?
Yeah, I'd like to just have my,
We make a motion yet?
no, he's working on the agenda.
No, I know, but you gotta make a motion to approve the agenda. And have a discussion.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
And I'd like to amend it to remove the,
Yeah, I'd just like to have my old number put back in for my password, so that's all. So. And go from there, yeah.
okay, great, thank you. A lot to discuss tonight, so. Any other comments?
Yeah, I just kind of curious. I know back in July, we did a review for the administrator, and I just wondering why we don't have that on here tonight. This is September. This is 2 meetings later. It should have been on here tonight.
I believe that's gonna be on the October agenda.
Why didn't it make it tonight?
There is another opportunity for, him to review comments and, it's kind of like,
It's been almost 60 days since that, so. Okay,
Yeah, it's done, so it's ready, so,
it could have been on there.
yeah, it could have, but I think, just to make sure we had enough time for everyone to review. So,
Thank you.
yep,
Just some clarifications.
more comments? Seeing none, all's in favor of the motion as amended, signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Public forum, that's a 3-minute time limit per person. The city council welcomes and encourages participation from community members. Please keep in mind that your comments must be pertinent to city business and must adhere to data privacy rules. No employees' names may be used. Please do not expect action from this council this evening regarding your concerns. To address the city council during public forum, please step up to the podium, state your name, address, and fill out a form provided. Speakers will be recognized only once. With that, you will be timed. I begin speaking with the green card that Rachel has. Yellow card indicates 30 seconds left, and red indicates you have reached your 3-minute time limit and must stop. So with that, we'll open the public forum at 6:34 p.m. So we should move the podium over a little bit so you can.
Yeah, we moved it over to move a table back, so I'm sorry, that was.
Where you want to be? I don't know, just flip the screen real quick. Other one at the bottom. Yep, that's good.
Yeah.
My name is Tom Gauthier. My address is, my Rochester address is 5789 Dogwood Court, Rochester. And I'm a small developer from in Orinoco. And I'm here tonight to talk about money that the city owes me and has not paid. And this work develops from the first development agreement that we had when I built the gas station, the Gas and Go. And I was required by the development agreement to run the water line from the existing end of the water line, 1,350 feet, to the front of my property, which I agreed to. I was required to put an 8-inch line in, but the city and Joe Palin requested that we have a 12-inch line in place of that. And that I agreed to pay for the extra cost of that line to put it in, and that it was under the agreement that that would be refunded to me in WAC credits on the future development of that land. So that was $27,000. Now, this went on for 9 years. And we did the development on the gas station, but there was nothing else happening on the land. And then I sold a portion of that land, which was Outlot B, to where Glenn's Motor Coach is. And at that time, the city decided that some of that WAC credit, which was assigned to the developer, would go with the lot. And they gave $11,000 of that money to that lot. They never contacted me. They never consulted me. I had no idea that this was happening until after it was done. So the money was really stolen from me on that. Now, when I argued that, and we had a new development agreement for the restaurant, it was decided as a compromise on this thing that there would be the WAC fees for the restaurant would be paid. And there was a $10,750 WAC credit that would be assigned to Outlot C. Okay, I agreed to that. So it's the $10,750 that I'm talking about. When I asked for that to be refunded to me in cash because of this incident with $11,000 being taken, and that was denied. Okay. And then I sold Outlot C, and in the sale of that lot, I said, why don't we take that $10,750, sell it with the lot? And we came to the city council, and they said, no, you can't do that. That it won't sell with the property. When they had sold it already with property on Outlot B, they'd given it away on Outlot B. They said, you can't sell it with the lot. And so I said, okay, I will take that time. I will take that money, but I want it in cash. Can't pay it in cash. He tried to get it applied
Your,
to,
Time is up, Tom.
okay. So you're just going to ignore it just like before. I've talked to Jason about it. I've talked to you about it. I've talked to Joe about it. I've talked to the lawyer about it. And I still get no results on it. Nothing.
Mr. Gothier, does Mr. Beatty still represent you?
Yes, he does.
So can I speak with him about it?
You have spoken with him about it. You have written him a letter about it.
Right.
You have done everything on it except pay the money.
Okay, I'll call Mr. Beatty and we can discuss it.
I hope you will. I hope we get some result out of the council. This is just disgusting.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Second call for a public forum. Anybody online?
It's just a chat thing.
No, Mike is here tonight. So
Are there any public forum comments from the Zoom that would like to speak? Do the third and final call for public hearing, for public forum.
I'd like to see who the 7 are. Can we see who the participants are or not?
Hold on.
So, with that, we'll close the public hearing. Public forum at 6:40.
Did you give 3 calls?
yes, he did.
You did 3. Okay. Good. I was thinking about that.
First item is our county, Homestead County report, and
I see,
Go ahead.
I see the sheriff isn't here, or the deputy isn't here tonight, but I see we have 2 ordinance violations. I'm curious what they were. I would think this city should know what those are. If they're ordinance violations, they're the ones that call the sheriff.
Anybody comment, Jason, or?
Nope, don't know where they are.
I don't know. Just got it yesterday.
I'll make a comment on that one too. There were 24 traffic stops, which was a lot of traffic stops too.
Yes, that's a few more than previous months, but it'd be interesting to see if that was
I
a
just,
certain area of town or just everywhere in general.
that's what I was kind of curious on too. So.
So the city doesn't know what the ordinance violations were?
They weren't brought to our attention. We can find out. You want to follow up with Sergeant Wren? Please. All right, first item is Public Works, and we have a request to sell a mower. Kane, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, the oldest mower, it's got 3 seasons on it now, so we've been rotating those every 3 seasons. Last year, we did the same thing. What you see in front of you tonight is identical to last year. Hoping to get some bids on it for the next 2 months here. Come back at November's council meeting with the bids, and we'll hope we get some good numbers, some bids.
What did we get for last year? What was the final selling price?
75, I believe, 7,500. So,
And what is the replacement cost?
replacement cost, we're looking right at 17,109. So they went up just a touch this year, but we actually are gonna save a little money because we are members of Sourcewell now, so we'll save a few bucks on that, so.
So we got 3 mowers, right? We do this each year.
Yep.
So it's basically it's costing us $10,000 a year for mowers.
I make a motion, we approve the purchase of a going out and requesting sealed bids for a minimum of 6,500.
I'll second that one.
I'd really like to see this 3-year pushed out. Like, I really would like to see us not spending over 10,000 a year on mower. And if it's a 4-year rotation, I understand that the mower isn't gonna be worth 7,500 next year, but I think the cost savings by keeping a mower for an extra year over an additional $10,000 every single year makes a lot of sense. Extend the life of these.
Curiosity, how much do we spend on maintenance per mower each year?
Well, I'd have to run those numbers, but you know, we do spend maintenance, oil changes, blades. The one more that we're talking about tonight, the 2022, it did have some electrical issues here this last one. I don't know if we shared that with you here, but we were down a mower for a while, so you know, first 2 years, they're in really good shape, they're doing really well, but that 3rd year is where we start to see issues and things wearing out. I completely understand it, trying to push it out another year.
It almost should be based off of hours on the machine versus a time frame. Because there's some years where these machines don't get the same amount of hours.
So
year in
when,
and year out, right?
right, so when one machine goes down, the other 2 kind of pick up the slack, right? And when we have a year like we had this year, you know, we were mowing quite a bit, pretty consistent, you
How
know?
often do we have all 3 mowers running?
Well, ideally, it's every week. Ideally, we'd like to see all 3 mowers going every week.
So how does this affect the warranty? Where's the warranty and how much is that covered over the 3 years at 500 hours or so?
The warranty is at 1 year.
1 year, okay.
Yep. We have had issues within that warranty period and Hilltop Sales, where we purchased these from, they've got a couple of these older mowers that they've they've taken our mower with issues and they've lent us one of theirs, so we've got a really good relationship with them. So like I said, just looking to keep on this 3-year plan. It's taken a long time to get to this point where we can keep mowers and keep the hours low and keep repairs to a minimum. It's taken a while to get to this point. I'd like to continue that. I'd like to continue the 3-year rotation. That's my opinion.
So after that third year, how much time are you putting in at the shop or any of the public works people putting in at the shop, maintaining that third year mower? Or is it's just getting sent off to, or,
We're working on them. We do all the repairs in-house we can. Obviously, the warranty issues, we can't do those, but
That's the first year.
yeah, that's the first year.
I'd make a motion that we put this off till next month until we know what the maintenance costs are per year. I need per mower.
to, would either amend the current motion probably or withdraw?
Yeah, we should either accept your amendment. I do have a couple other comments. I have no problem if you wanna look at your costs and come back.
Sure.
I would, so I'll accept your amendment. I would also ask that you share with us what you anticipate selling a mower after 4 years, how much value we're gonna lose,
Sure,
and how much more we're gonna have to pay for a new mower.
sure, okay,
Because right now, we're buying them for like $10,000.
sure.
So if we wait another year, are we having to pay $13,000? Because we have less traded or less residual value.
Sure, less value, sure. I
So
can,
we can put some scenarios together along with those maintenance plans.
yeah, I can come back next month.
Well, right now our cost is $10,000 a year for mowers. We don't know anything other than that.
It's,
So if he's got a maintenance budget down there to repair them, he has no idea what that is.
so I'm just saying, once we buy a new mower, we're gonna get less trade-in, and it's gonna cost us more to buy the 10,000. So if you wanna put those together,
Yeah, for sure.
we'll come back at the next month. So
What's the average weeks for mowing, like 36 weeks?
Well, we start May, 1st of May, we're mowing.
So it's basically 36 weeks, May through October.
Well, we've mowed into November, we've mowed into December as well, so some years winter comes soon and some years it's warm and there's grass still growing and things to be done, so. Yeah, I can definitely bring back some of those.
I wouldn't mind seeing what it would look like to drop it to 2 mowers and potentially get yourself up, like pull behind larger with a tractor, something like that. Maybe that's gonna last 10 years, something along those lines.
Okay.
And then drop it down to, so different options for that. If
Now you're talking purchase of a tractor to pull.
well,
Yeah.
right. But if we're extending that across 10 years versus every 3.
I could see that if you're mowing stuff like ball fields and ball fields. We're not mowing city ditches anymore, or township ditches.
That's true. But what are the hours on those machines? Do you know, where you can include that next month? That would be fine too.
Yeah, this one's 504 on the one we're handling.
I don't see any reason we can't get.
Yeah, 504 on the one that we're selling, which is on page 6.
I don't understand why we can't get 1,000 hours.
all right, so why don't you come back with your report and we'll continue our discussion. And
Sure.
all those in favor of the motion as amended to come back next month, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you, Kane. Okay, water and sewer is our next item, and the water summary report. But next item is a phase 1B facility plan proposal.
Yeah, so there's a letter proposal in your packet along with the work plan. Obviously, the city just completed phase 1A of the sewer and water improvements. And when a facility plan was prepared in 2018, we really looked at multiple phases. In fact, two phases, 1A and 1B to serve the entire developed city of Orinoco. And so phase 1B at that time that the facility plan was done was tentatively planned for 2030. And here it is 2025 already, and it takes a long time to go through a process where you prepare a facility plan, you get in the queues for funding, you secure that funding, you design the project, and you ultimately bid the project. It does take, years for that process to play out, as you guys know, and of course, the funding scenarios aren't guaranteed. Some years they pass bonding bills, some years they don't, and that funding stream goes up and down. So there's some variability with that too. So we've been talking with Sewer and Water, and to a limited extent, the council about the facility plan. We've come up with a mechanism that would fund about $47,000 of it. Talking with the Public Facilities Authority, there is some funding that remains left over from the phase 1A project from the 2020 bonding bill. There's $47,000. And so last February, we approached PFA and we talked to them about what funding potentially we could use. And that's what was identified in terms of grant funding that's available, that's unused in phase 1A. And so that would be available to use to fund a portion of phase 1B facility plan. And so we moved beyond that. And if you kind of turn through the letter proposal, there is a kind of a figure that illustrates the phase 1A and 1B project areas. And so we requested placement on the project priority list for the Clean Water Revolving Fund, and we were placed there. And so that is positive. The next step in the process is to complete a facility plan amendment that really goes into detail about how the areas on this map in yellow would be served with sewer and or water. And so it's really a planning document that evaluates, the best options to serve these areas with sewer and water, because there are multiple options. What do those options cost? How can we fund that? You put a schedule to that, and you also are required to complete a bunch of documentation that MPCA and PFA require in order for them to evaluate, eventually approve that facility plan and advance it. And so once you have an approved facility plan, you can get placed on the intended use permit, you start to qualify for grant funding. It's a step in the process, but it's a big step and an important step because it gives not only the city, but the agencies a lot of information to ascertain what the project really is, what it involves, and what it most importantly would cost and how to fund it. And so that's what the letter proposal does. I can go into more detail, I suppose, about the process, but we do have a work plan that kind of lays out the 13 tasks that would be included. We propose to do the work just like we always do on an hourly basis, not to exceed. I think the not to exceed amount's about $76,000. So the city would be looking to fund about $30,000 of that cost through probably the utility improvements, the existing utilities, sewer, water, and then arguably, because we'd be replacing a bunch of streets in conjunction with the utility improvements, you could use your capital improvement fund if you chose to. So that's really what I've laid out. I know we have a lot on the agenda tonight, so I can go into more detail, or I can certainly entertain any questions that council would have.
I see on the plan, there's one part's all township, area P.
It is.
Oh, they're not in the city, so I would propose even talking about that.
Well, there's some advantages to serving them in conjunction with the project. In terms of they provide users, they have failing septic systems, and they're almost encompassed, or they are encompassed by the city limits. So at some point in time, you're gonna wanna serve those, and there are some potential benefits from a funding perspective of including them in the project. Now, it doesn't mean that we'll necessarily build their infrastructure. We might parcel that off and build it with some different funds. But in order to advance to that next step, it'd be nice to know what's it gonna cost and how would it be done. It's a small part of the project, and my advice to the council would be to keep that
Well,
area in, but you don't necessarily have to.
I believe with discussions that we've had with planning and zoning, we're not supposed to be putting city water in township, period.
And we,
And so, I mean, that shouldn't even be here for looking at that type of situation, and they haven't come to us to ask for annexation. Matter of fact, didn't want to come in for annexation, so.
So Joe, would that require us to build, to extend it? Would that be part of the project scope?
well, the utilities run right by it, so extending the sewer and water through that area to provide that with municipal service is fairly straightforward. And you wouldn't make any of those improvements until that area was annexed. This is simply doing a study to figure out how they might be serviced and what it might cost.
The other thing too that I'm looking at is area H, okay, and there's no way out if you're taking into this and you're doing construction on both the places that there are to be able to get in and get out of that whole neighborhood that's in there. I see that to be a little bit of an issue that there is on however you're gonna navigate through that, so. And I guess my other question is, have you talked to the people that are gonna be, because I know if they're looking at 1B, they're looking until 2030. They're not looking at 2025. And you start doing this, I mean, that's a lot of cash drain out of them, especially with the lots, as big as what those lots are going in there. That's pretty expensive to run that into those areas, that I think we should maybe have a discussion, a public hearing, and talk to the people and send out a notice that we're looking at doing this ahead of time.
You're absolutely right, and if you'll notice in the scope of services, the facility planning process requires a public hearing.
But I mean,
So,
do we want to get into it to another $30,000 plus the 40 that we have that's left over to have $76,000 on that without having anything else go? I don't know if, you know.
well, and that's up to the council, of course, if you have a public hearing and you don't have any information to present.
It's some information here.
What page is the scope on?
So a big part of this overall city sewer project.
The engineering services, and then after that is a work, sorry.
Yeah, so when we started our project back in 2015 and gone through the whole process of working with MPCA, it's clear from the MPCA's perspective that phase 1B is an integral part and was understood by MPCA that we would be putting the sewer system into phase 1B and eliminating those septic systems. So MPCA has asked us when they were here a year ago, we were doing one of our reviews with the MPCA that was down here, and they were asking about phase 1B because that's the awareness to the PFA and MPCA that we were going to do phase 1B. So I don't think it's really an option in MPCA's eye to say we're not going to do this.
No, I think that we've got it set up for 2030, which I think is right. And looking at the 1A, right now, we've got the 5 units per year, which we had agreed to for the actual build, okay? So with River Bend, there's 11, there'll be 11 units that'll be in there, plus what we got coming in with the new development. So we've got the number, which is holding into what we've got our commitment that there is for 1A.
Is there 5 units per year or
Yeah.
10?
5.
So I think
So you
it's
got, there's enough that we've hit everything that's along those lines right now.
two points of clarification. The wastewater treatment facility and the trunk sewer facilities And the cash flow projections that were completed to fund the project assumed that the phase 1B parcels would be served in 2030. And so those cash projections assume that those 200 users come into the city and start paying rates in 2030. I think the projection that Mike put together for funding the phase 1A improvements assume 10 units per year. 10
I thought we were
ERUs.
given, there were 5, okay, and so it wasn't 10, it was 5. And
I'm sure
that's all I heard was 5, so.
I'm really appreciating this 10 too.
Oh, you
It,
did?
it
Okay.
is, I'm sure.
Ten for Mike
Yeah.
Money.
The other thing to kind of note is the $47,000 to fund this is part of the current phase 1A project. We are moving towards closing that out. If we close that out, you know, that money will be used elsewhere. It won't be available for the phase 1B study. And that 47,000 is considerable. And I would also just emphasize the fact that just because you complete a facility plan doesn't mean that you're gonna build it next year or the year after, or maybe even the year after that. And once you do go into the design process and the construction process, you know, it's gonna take multiple years to even build it. You know,
I think-
the process is, it takes time, and now is a reasonable time to start it.
I think that is gonna go quicker because last time we were waiting for the plant to get completed and it wasn't what they were doing for the hookups, it was the plant. So that plant's now up and running, so I think we go a little bit quicker. Hey, I make a motion to put this off and think about it for a month. We're making a commitment.
I'll second your motion.
So we have a motion second to bring it back at the October meeting. I think the report is very detailed. Water and Sewer reviewed it. And I thought it was in the best interest to pursue this. We can wait a month. I don't know. Are you expecting some other explanation from Joe, or what's your reason for delaying it?
It's, you know, to me, I think that we're just pushing this ahead, maybe a little bit too quickly. You know, and it's like, it's not that critical to have it done and vote on it right now. I think that, you know, looking at the 76,000, which is what it really is gonna be, or whatever that amount is, and the 47, so it's 76, yeah, 396. You know, it's still $76,000, you know, I mean, we could use some of that money for other things too, so that's where I come from, so.
47,000, is that a use it or lose it thing?
It is.
So when does it close out?
When is this deadline up?
Yeah.
I hate to see us lose that.
Yeah, we're probably gonna close the project this fall. This is,
Can we extend that?
we'd have to ask PFA. Right now, their project has been open since 2021. We closed out the stop construction wastewater treatment portion of the project. And the goal here is to close out the Fitzgerald portion of the project in November or December. And so ideally by year end, the project would be closed out.
Could you ask if we can extend that for the close and see if we can keep that 47?
We can ask.
We can ask. I just don't. Is the point being you don't want to spend the money, or you prefer not to do phase 1B?
Well, I'm looking at the timing on phase 1B, and again, we're looking at 2025, but it's supposed to be 2030, okay? That's 5 years down the road, where all of a sudden we're making a decision in 2025. And you know, to me, I just think it's moving a little bit too quick for what's going on right now.
Well, I would disagree. I feel like we've done our due diligence. The plant's been operating for a year and a half now or more. Things are moving along, and the next step is phase 1B, and we've got this 47,000. to work towards doing the feasibility plan. And Joe's right, I mean, the funding is, even with our phase 1A, we had a couple missteps where we didn't get bonding bill money and extend another year, extend another year. And, you know, granted, we're not asking for our 31 million again, but it's gonna be something significantly less. But we do have support because it was included with our phase 1 project. The legislators are aware of it, MPCA is aware of it, PFA is aware of it. So I don't understand why we should wait and not pursue it.
So you say, Joe, you say this is gonna cost about 70 grand for the
Yeah,
study?
76, 396.
76, and we've got about $47,000 in grant
Looking
funding.
at roughly $30,000 to pull out of the budget somewhere to do that.
And if you'll say whether it be CIP or our utility sewer fund.
Sewer or water fund.
What's in the CIP fund?
What's that?
What's the base of CIP? Like what's even in there?
Shouldn't about 500,000 based off of Lumani's numbers.
And what do we pay every year? About 500,000?
We just made about a $500,000 payment.
So that's just to pay for 1 year.
I
Yeah,
agree. I think we need probably some public outreach, just information sharing, so that it doesn't feel done to them kind of conversation. I think that's
Well,
that's an important piece so that they're understanding what our
It
plan
is,
is.
all the public information meetings that we had with phase 1A, it boils down to cost. What's gonna cost me, and
Sure.
without that feasibility plan, we really can't come up with a good figure.
But couldn't we,
And it's all subjective to 2030 pricing too, of course.
but we know what the 1A costs people. I mean, so there's a baseline.
And that was, those cost increases was a result of suppliers during the COVID time.
Sure.
So that went up from 66 to 8,200, something like that per home, so.
So this project, Joe, is this for both water and sewer or just water?
It would provide water and sewer to most of the project area.
With the exception of area B, right?
That is correct, I believe, yes.
yeah, and I want to have some details of how you're gonna be handling H2, because that's gonna be huge amount of people that are being impacted by what this is. And again, we're landlocked and we shouldn't be in that position in the first place. You know, by standards, for us being landlocked is not good for fire or first responders or anything else. If a tree goes down and there's a fire on the other side, we can't get to it. You can't, or first responders, somebody has a heart attack and a tree goes down. We're landlocked, that whole area. So we're waiting for that road that there is to connect to 100th Street to be able to have another access to be able to work with, just for safety measures, so.
But I don't think there was any streets in phase 1A that were completely blocked out that they couldn't have access. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, because what you looked at, everything that was going in there was already hooked up with the community septic system that was inside there. So all of those homes were feeding from one area where there wasn't anything being done to the streets. But you go down to Riverwood and Riverwood Drive and take a look, there is no other way out of that whole area.
Sure.
You know, and so you start doing construction like this and you have equipment that there is off of it, it's gonna be an issue. And I think I look at some of those areas, so.
And to be clear, these are not construction plans. This is a report. It just looks at the essentially feasibility about how it would be done. There aren't plans here. We haven't looked at how this area would be served. We're assuming that the streets would be disturbed, but not necessarily everywhere. And certainly, you know, access is a consideration and it does need to be looked at, but it has not.
So they did like in West Center Street and First Street Northwest, there was, you know, the school buses, there was always an access for them. And that's what they worked with. There wasn't any streets that were blocked, you know, more than, if at all, a day, but I don't quite yes, it's a concern. And yes, the construction plans and the contractor works with all those entities that need access, whether it's garbage disposal or school buses or fire department. So that's a challenge. Yes, it is a challenge during the construction, but it's not a challenge to do a feasibility report.
I guess that's not the part we're discussing right now. We're just discussing Joe's report.
Yeah, so, again, the motion,
If we're holding off for 30 days, we talk about it, chance to look at it a little bit closer.
yeah.
We got the agenda, what, Friday?
How long does a feasibility study like last for? Like if we do it and then we decide to hold off on the actual construction until 2030, are we gonna have to redo it? I don't know how long they have like a shelf life.
I think that you, the basic work is good. There's an environmental document that's associated with that, probably has a 5-year shelf life. Obviously, cost estimates change. So they would have to be updated, but you know, the majority of the engineering work would be unchanged.
But the city doesn't want to wait until 2030 to start this, correct? Because part of the projections from the original plans projected having this going in 2030.
The motion is to hold off the discussion till next month.
Yeah, so let's put it up for a vote for hold off to next month, okay, so. Got a motion and a second, and put it up for a vote.
I don't think it's.
So I-
I don't think it's for us to look at it for a month. We've had 3 days, 4 days.
Any other comments? All those in favor of holding off on the approval of the feasibility plan till October, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, come back in October and have the same discussion. Okay, next item was the people service report, maintenance report.
Well, and the people service report, I got a question about the mowing out there. Is that something that we do? That's something that the city, the Public Works is mowing it? Yeah. So why is he asking for a maintenance guy out there to mow?
You requested a mower, one of our mowers.
Does he do his own mowing out there or?
No, we do all the mowing. That's in the contract.
Why would you want a mower if we do all the mowing?
Good question.
Yeah, cause I hate to pay a $200 and some thousand a year contract for an operator out there mowing. That's an observation, so. But if we're doing the mowing, then I guess I don't understand the mower part. It was just in the report, so that's why I questioned it.
Yep, I see that.
All right, next item from P and Z is Orinoco Gold Rush Crossing. Planning and zoning memo. I guess Evan or Joe, whoever spoke to it. Yeah.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Be a little bit louder, please.
So we want to talk about them.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Not
Yeah,
very well.
I don't know where he's going, that's why, I was just trying to follow this too.
We go back to the stuff that she had today.
Yeah.
Mayor, did you skip B, Fitzgerald pay request? And then there also the Orinoco residential speed limit reduction.
Oh, we're gonna move that. Well, I'm sorry, it's in the agenda twice. So we'll talk about it in streets and roads. The residential speed limit reduction it had in the planning and zoning, but we'll
Move this to planning and.
Was that
talk
part-
about it there. Streets and roads.
Yeah.
Put this on the streets and roads stuff in.
It's in our
It's
agenda for
in
streets and
planning
roads,
and
yes. Page 119.
Mayor, did you want to talk or address the Fitzgerald pay request number 33?
All right, of course. Of course. I'll make a motion, we pay the Fitzgerald pay request number 33 for $131,781.81.
I'll second that.
Comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you, Joe. Planning and zoning, we had a residential speed limit reduction, and we'll cover that when streets and roads where it's listed there versus P and Z, so. First item is Jungi's flooring cost security agreement. Motion to approve that.
Second.
To your packet. And that's for $5,000. Cost security agreement. So that they'll be sending a check if they haven't already. No other comments? All those in favor signify by saying
I
aye.
do have one comment.
Oh,
When it comes to them doing this, where were their whack and sack fees paid
the building permit.
in the building permit? That's when they're all collected, correct?
What's that?
That's when they're all collected, right?
Right.
Whack and sack fees are collected upon issuance of a building permit.
I believe that's correct.
Yes.
I know that's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's on.
In this instance, the lot that the Jungie flooring is going on, they were assessed for sewer back in 2021, so they wouldn't be subject to the PIF and
Right, but those
DAC
lots-
fees. That lot's already paid the fee,
Now, how is it that that lot paid the fee?
because they were assessed, when People's Co-op owned it.
So you collected the whack and sack fees before a building permit was issued to that property.
As we did with the other 500 parcels, yes.
We mean the other 500 parcels.
All parcels that were served by the project, whether they were developed or not developed, were charged whack and PIF and
I guess-
lateral sewer.
I guess my concern goes back to like 2001 or two, when we started the whack and sack fee program. And it was supposed to be issued upon the building permit on the property, not the development of a property. So you're saying you collected the money when it was developed. There was no building permit on it until recently.
No, I believe when it was sold to them in the assessment, that's when it gets collected, because anytime. Melissa, are you on?
In 2022, we assessed all of the properties in Orinoco Crossings, including the undeveloped lots. This is one of the undeveloped lots, and so at that time, they paid the assessment for sewer
Right.
improvements.
But
So
that's
Joe,
not-
wasn't that
but
a-
that's not whack and sack fees. Water availability and sewer availability.
Sewer, yeah, part of it is sewer availability. It's trunk sewer charge and a plant investment fee and a lateral sewer fee.
Cause I think that's what.
So they get assessed the fee, Paul, and then what happens is when that lot was sold, that assessment then goes to the county and the new person has to pay that assessment when the lot is sold. That's the process in which otherwise it's collected in their taxes each year, just like everybody else. But once that lot gets sold to somebody, then that person usually is responsible for paying off the assessment fee as part of the process.
Okay, so then things actually change as things are happening. It's when the assessment took place. So that when those fees are taken, when were charged.
On that lot, yes.
I guess I'm trying to get some clarification because of Tom being in here earlier and talking about some of the stuff
Yeah,
that
there's
happens
just
up there.
so many crazy things that
It's
have
going
gone
to-
on with that. It's just been nuts.
Tom's property wasn't served by the phase 1A improvements.
I understand that, but.
We're gonna unmute Mel here real quick. Melissa,
Hi,
if you-
council. That's okay. What's the question?
The assessment fees for Whack and Sack and Piff on those lots over by Casey's there, Youngie's lot specifically, those would have been paid off during the transfer of sale of the property, correct?
In most cases, yes, the energy lane lots, it is my impression that the SAC fees were paid by Peoples. The WAC fees followed the property. So the WAC fees will be paid by the developer
so-
after the time of transfer.
So people's opted to pay the one fee and not the other.
Peoples did pay the SAC fee per what I was reading in the Stantec memo. Only WAC fees are still existing over there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the clarification. All right. Any other comments? Or- I don't think we voted on the cost security mirror, so
We haven't voted yet.
all in favor of the Junkies cost security agreement, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, that's approved. Okay. Next item is the Gold Rush Crossing request. Is Evan, speak to it?
Hello, good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. You have a couple of requests before you tonight. One is a future land use map amendment. That is for what's referred to as the east parcel. There's also a rezoning for that parcel as well. And then the last request before you tonight for this site is rezoning of that west parcel. The future land use amendment and the rezoning for the east parcel, that would change the future land use designation from multifamily and pedestrian commercial to what's called a highway commercial under your future land use map. And then the rezoning would change that parcel to B2. That same request would apply to the west parcel as well. They'd be requesting to rezone to B2. Both of these parcels are currently located outside of the city. They're within Orinoco Township, and so you'll see that agricultural zoning on the current zoning map, which is included in your staff report tonight. In the packet, you'll also see some concept plans from the applicant. They have a variety of commercial uses identified at a conceptual level for those sites. Some of the uses they mention that could be occurring on the site could include a grocery store, gas station, bank, and some other commercial buildings. We would note that any future development would have to adhere to the city's zoning requirements that are in place at the time of development. So just to remind you that you're not approving any specific development or plans tonight, you're just looking at the future land use map as well as your zoning map. Again, both parcels are outside the town or the city. They're within the township. They total approximately 72 acres in size. The applicant has not yet applied to be annexed into the city at this time. You may note later in the staff report, we outline what you have as an orderly annexation agreement with the township that was last signed in 2015. These two parcels are within the areas identified under that agreement as areas to be annexed into the city. This request was reviewed by your Planning and Zoning Commission last week, and so it now comes before you, and you can either approve or deny, which we'll get to later in the staff report. Going through the staff report, first we again cover the annexation agreement. That agreement actually covers 700 acres in total, so not just these two parcels, but a wide swath of land within Orinoco Township. The agreement states the annexation of the lands identified in that area is in the best interest of the residents and owners thereof, and then would permit the city to extend municipal services, which would be sewer and water, to that area. Now, the agreement also outlines the process by which annexation can occur, and that also notes that the city's zoning and subdivision authority applies to land within the annexation area. So that's why they have those two requests for the one parcel, the east parcel, and that rezoning for the west parcel before you hear tonight. Later in the staff report, we also cover your utility code, which is Chapter 51 of Orinoco City Code. Again, that regulates both your water system as well as your wastewater system within the city. We talked about it a little bit earlier tonight, but you discussed how the city cannot provide services outside of city limits unless certain findings are made by the city. Those are outlined in your staff report before you tonight. In summation of those criteria, given that both of the applicant's parcels are identified within that annexation agreement as areas to be annexed into the city, we would note that findings above to meet those criteria cannot be met without the parcels being annexed, as annexation again is in the city's interest based on that agreement. We also outline the actual city water system as well as the wastewater system further down in your staff report. Again, as you've probably discussed with previous meetings, the city's infrastructure is designed with certain assumptions. You'll recall that facility plan that your city engineer noted. It bases the capacity and the infrastructure based on different uses, the density of said uses, and then again, how many lots are being served by that system. And so based on those different uses and needs for each parcel, that does result in different water and wastewater needs. That initial facility plan was developed based on your city's future land use map at the time. That was adopted in 2020 and is what you do have before you tonight here. In discussions with the city engineer, he has noted the applicant's site is planned to have wastewater go to the lift station number 4 onto lift station number 1 before eventually going to your wastewater treatment facility. All of those systems and infrastructure were served and designed to serve the applicant's site and then the other lands adjacent or beyond that within the annexation area. The original feasibility plan for the wastewater treatment facility also does show the applicant's site as areas that would be seen service provided to them as part of future growth or development that would occur between 2021 and 2043, which I believe you do have outlined in a map in that staff report before you tonight. If the site were not to be annexed into the city, any development on those 2 parcels would not utilize the city's infrastructure and then therefore would not be able to pay for any future maintenance, connection fees, etc. for the system. In order to serve any areas beyond the applicant's site south of the city, that infrastructure would have to run either around the site, which is not feasible for the city, or you would have to have it go through the site, which wouldn't require that to be annexed into the city. Further down, we cover the comprehensive plan for the city as well as your future land use map. You'll note that comprehensive plan is your blueprint to kind of guide future land development decisions within your city. The future land use map in particular very specifically outlines what those future uses would be in the future within the city. To amend your future land use map, it's what's called a legislative decision. So the city has a little bit of variety, broad variety and discretion how you want to choose when approving requests. Amending your zoning ordinance is also the same, whether that's a text amendment or whether that's a rezoning, which again you have here tonight before you. In the staff report, we do outline different sections of the comprehensive plan that would apply to this situation. These do relate to development within the city. Sections 2.3.2 covers growth being balanced and sustainable. Section 2.3.3 covers that growth should be orderly. 2.3.4 outlines that future growth should be required to make full use of urban services. Again, your city water and sewer service would be urban services. 2.3.5 notes that planning for growth and change should promote efficient use of land. Would it be efficient to approve these without annexing in? That's part of your discussion here tonight. Further down in your staff report, we talk about the rezoning requests, which is again an amendment of your zoning ordinance. Your current code does outline that when annexation does occur, a recommendation on zoning can be made at the time of annexation. If they were to annex this property into the city, that would again clear most of the city's concerns with these parcels being developed potentially in a disorderly manner outside of the city without city sewer and water. The rezoning itself, so a rezoning process, again, your code does have a few criteria. The request is reviewed on whether it meets or does not meet. If the city finds that they are met, you can approve it. If they are not met, you can deny it. Those criteria cover the development of the property. Again, if this property is not annexed into the city water and sewer would not be able to serve those developments in the future, which would mean that the city cannot guarantee orderly development would be occurring. There's also criteria regarding trends in population, potential commercial or industrial growth, as well as the effect upon the community as a whole in view of the comprehensive plan. Your options tonight is that the city council can do the following for each request. You can approve with findings and conditions. You can deny with findings, or you could table. Due to the time constraints, though, we would ask that you either approve or deny the requests tonight. The planning commission again, or the planning and zoning commission did review these requests. And we'll note those recommendations here before you, but to amend the future land use map, the recommendation is for denial with findings, which you do have outlined in a resolution in your packet. This is also the recommendation of P&Z. If you are to approve, there's also a resolution with findings and conditions of approval. For the rezoning of the east parcel, the recommendation was denial, again with findings per the resolution included in your packet. That was also recommended by the P&Z committee. Again, if you are to approve, there would be a recommendation that the findings and conditions per the ordinance included in your packet is adopted. For the rezoning of the west parcel, again, the recommendation from staff is denial with findings, again, per that resolution in your packet. The Planning and Zoning Committee did recommend approval based on the recommended findings and conditions, which are also, again, included in an ordinance in your packet. So if there's any questions, we can discuss those tonight.
What did the P&Z recommend for the west side?
The recommendation was to approve of the rezoning for the west side.
What is it right now? It's highway commercial instead of B2?
What's E2? Or A1?
It's ag.
So go from ag to.
Well, I see on page 7 and 15, Joe. It says staff recommends that sites outside the current city limits such as these subject parcels pursue annexation before proceeding with rezoning. Sure that the site's connected to city water and sewer infrastructure. Is that something that they're gonna do it anyway, correct?
Are you asking me? So, yeah, so absolutely, two things. Do we want them to be annexed into the city? Yes, and in order to serve them, they need to be annexed. And they are a critical part of the utility service plan for both sewer and water. We've sized the facilities to service them. The trunk facilities need to go through the properties to service that property as well as adjacent properties to the south and east. It is important that they are annexed and that they ultimately are served by city municipal utilities.
Well, they couldn't be served by anything other than that because of the MPCA, could they? Because we have public utilities.
Well, our stance is that they're in Orinoco's ultimate service area. We have the ability to serve them. Your utility code says if we have the ability to serve them and they're annexed in, they will be served. And they can be served. The issue is if they aren't annexed, the utility code says we can't serve them for good reason. We don't want to serve
Township.
Well, township or any other
The city.
non-ratepayers, if you will, because you know, the city and its residents have made a huge investment, and then for, you know, to allow other people not to annex into the city and, you know, essentially utilize that investment is problematic, amongst other reasons that
Is there,
we would have concerns about non-annexation.
is there some reason that she wouldn't, that they wouldn't annex into the city in the future here?
I think the concern is that there has been some correspondence with the property owner, and they have expressed hesitancy to annex into the city, and so that is a question. The normal process is that you annex first, then we would see a rezoning process, and that has not happened here.
Do we know what that?
I'd like to just interrupt just for a second for discussion. You know, I think we ought to consider as a starting point, because we have 6 resolutions here, 3 ordinances, 3 resolutions. And I think it would be good as a good practice just to start with the denials, because those were the recommendations from P&Z. Just go through the process and look at those, unless there's some other reason for starting another place. But I think it'd be more prudent to start with, so correct me if I'm wrong, we would start on page
What page?
77.
I would give this something.
I mean, this was.
77 of 199 is a resolution. City Council, City of Orinoco denying the request to amend the future land use map to designate parcel ID ending in 43 as highway commercial.
So Paul, to your question, and Jim had that question earlier too, I think. You have this orderly annexation agreement. This is the second iteration of the agreement. The first one was in 2010. And then we re-signed it in 2015. It goes until 2035. And we drafted the utility code. I know because I drafted it. You should never, it's not illegal, but you should never extend services to a township parcel, ever. You should never do it, almost never do it. There would have to be extraordinary circumstances to do that. And then, and that's to promote certain goals of the orderly annexation agreement and the annexation statutes. And that's to promote urban and suburban development within cities and keep agricultural in townships, which is an orderly way to progress. I talked to a township person months ago and they completely agree with this. I mean, this area has always been slated for development in the city. And so the risk here is, if you agree, if you rezone these properties, there's no guarantee they won't be developed without further subdivision out in the township. We can't guarantee that, and that is detrimental to the city residents potentially because they're all paying, all these residents now are paying assessments. And the size of those assessments were based on oversizing that facility specifically to service the two parcels that are subject to this and the 700 total acres of the annexation area.
I guess kind of where you're going is we can't assess property that isn't in the city anyway.
Right. Well, unless you have the agreement of the township to do it for you, which is complicated. And no, you have no independent assessment authority for area in the township. So they don't pay their, if you were to extend water services or sewer services to the township, which I would never recommend you do, and they don't pay, it's hard to, that's how the typical method of forcing payment is to assess. But the people who paid the phase 1A, the size of those assessments was higher because we overbuilt the facility. We could have built a cheaper, smaller facility. We built it to service these properties specifically. And then, these properties also are contiguous to the city, which makes it difficult to develop in that direction. If they're developed without annexation immediately outside the city, that's going to really hurt your ability to ever develop in the township, based on a cost reason and just a contiguity reason.
Keep continuity in it. I get it. We had kind of the same issue with collecting some of the fees from the trailer park.
Right, that's a mess. So, but that was done for a specific reason.
Yeah, that was done, yeah.
Because it funded the facility and, we have been the largest sewer city in the state for decades.
Good. Okay. So which one of these?
So this one's on page 77. So I make a motion, we proceed with the resolution to deny the request to amend the future land use map to designate parcel ending in 43 as highway commercial.
Second. A second.
Is there a second? The finding of the facts that are on page 77 to 78, I think are all very clear with the inconsistencies and how it affects the different sections of the comprehensive plan that Evan made reference to. 2.3, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. I think those are all very valid concerns in the interest of the city that this would be denied. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll take a voice vote. Mayor, of course. Aye to approve denial.
Counselor Phillips,
Aye to approve denial.
Counselor Pendergrass,
I to approve denial.
Counselor Spring,
Aye for denial.
Aye for denial.
Oh, sorry.
sorry, I was.
Yes.
No, I was just going on the table, sorry.
Jump the gun.
Yep.
Got
Hey, Counselor Rosendorfer,
Yes.
sorry. That was my fault.
Denied, yes.
So then I had a question, Mayor. This is for Jason, actually. On the resolution, it doesn't have a number.
I don't know if this is right.
We were
No, I
adding
I
that
don't have it on mine.
into there.
Numbers or
Do
anything.
you know what the number is?
There's no resolution numbers, so that's why I just referenced the page numbers.
Can we put a resolution number on it, so we've got it?
We,
Wow.
I
Wait until it's approved.
It's difficult because we didn't know how many.
didn't know which one we're starting with and going through, and so, yeah, we'll put a resolution
We have
number on there.
to approve or deny all three of them, correct?
Right, and there could have been more than.
Yes, let's go.
The number of-
Okay. Go on P and Z posed and then we'll finish up.
But you'll assign the correct.
Yes.
Numerical designation.
Yes.
Fine.
All three, on all the resolutions coming through.
Okay. So that denial has been approved. The next item that came from P and Z was a resolution, the city council's, city of Orinoco, so denying the request to amend the zoning map to designate parcel ID ending in 43 as B2. This is the east one. I make a motion, we approve the denial.
I'll second it.
So, the finding of fact for denial is, references inconsistency with our future land use map. You can read those, there's three, 6 items of finding in fact. Point number 2. Without annexation, negative impact to the future growth of the city. Utility code does not allow for extension beyond the city limits. Always only request allow for more intensive development that is currently permitted. Again, it's inconsistency with the comprehensive plan. And 5 is, our treatment plant was designed for this property or this area. And number 6 was the, rezoning is, rezoning a partial that's in the Orinoco Township. Any other comments? Seeing none, take a voice vote. For denial,
Mayor Eckworth,
aye.
Counselor Phillips,
Aye.
Counselor Pendergrass,
I,
Counselor Reisdorfer,
Aye.
Counselor Sprague.
Aye.
That's going off the back.
I know.
I see we have 2 resolutions in here for 42. Is that just a,
Yes, and we'll. Sure.
One that's only on 43.
There's 2 for 43.
Yeah.
And we just got, we approved, and this third one is a. Your third one was an approval, is that right? To rezone B2?
no, the third one's a denial.
42
Well, that-
B2.
No, the third one was to,
Mayor's asking what the planning commission recommendation was.
The recommendation was for approval by the P and Z, but you can ultimately approve or deny tonight.
Yeah, the mayor was just asking what the planning commission recommendation was. So that one was a recommendation to approve.
right, and that was.
West parcel.
Approval.
442.
Requesting to amend the zoning map.
No, just
So,
rezone it.
43.
We denied the east side FLUP, we denied the east side development, now we're under the west side development.
The west side didn't need a land use plan amendment.
No,
Right.
Because it's already consistent with the rezoning.
So
request.
we had two denials on the east side, now we have to do one on the west side.
Now there's,
Hmm. Correct.
There's one on the west side.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
rezone.
So this is an ordinance approving the request to amend the zoning map to rezone parcel ID 43, which is the east one, as B2. Currently, today, it's a multifunction and R2 and what's your?
That's the east side.
Your east side,
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but we're on the west
On
side
the
now.
west side.
We
We just finished the east side with the two denials.
Yes. Correct.
We denied the
Correct,
land
and now
use.
we're on west side.
So it's-
On page 82, though, there's a denial for 42 as a B2.
Exactly.
There's a resolution.
It's on page 74 then.
I'm looking at 82.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that should,
Page 74.
Okay.
this is probably staff report for deny, where it was still P and Z reviewed. Recommended approval for this one, for 442. This is probably the staff deny.
So this,
Well,
so on page 74, this is the ordinance approving the request to amend the zoning map of 42, which is the west one, as B2.
yeah,
The future land use map shows it as B2 as a future land, like we're asking the county, you're
Going from
asking
ag
for
to B,
approval within a 6-month time period, right?
right, to go from ag to B.
I think the confusion is you didn't do them in order that they're in. the
Yeah,
packet.
it's just,
well, there's,
But
a-
we get it though, I think.
there's another confusion on here too. On page 84, or 74,
74.
page 74 that Ryland referred to here.
Right.
That's an ordinance, so.
In the heading.
Yep.
It talks about parcel ID number ending in 42. The
Okay.
lower part of the page, it says now therefore be resolved, says parcel 43.
You're right.
Down at the bottom.
Yeah, it says 42 at the top, 43 at the
Oh, yeah.
bottom.
Just before the findings of fact for approval, says 43, 443.
So Evan, can you clear that up? No.
Yeah, it looks like there's a typo in your ordinance. So if you choose to adopt that, you should amend it to remove the typo.
You know.
Alternatively, you could
What's the
adopt
correct?
the resolution denying it, which appears to be correct with no typos.
Yeah, so what's the correct parcel ID for that parcel?
It needs an end in 2.
And two, okay, thank you.
That's the west side.
So the planning and zoning was approving the request on a condition of approval. Top of page 76. It shall be completed within 6 months of approval being granted by the city council. So that was that was condition of approval. If if it's not met within 6 months, then it's null and nullified. So this is a. This will make, B and Z want to make a motion to approve this?
Make a motion to approve, and that would be, ID number 8420140794443. To be rezoned as B2. Highway commercial.
9442.
He said-
I got it wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. I had the wrong page.
West.
For a second,
I'll second it.
Reed?
Yep.
So. Just the question I have is, I don't know what's gonna happen in 6 months. What's,
You didn't do anything.
what's, yeah, what's the what's the idea of approving it? What was the rationale?
The rationale is this, if you're interested in doing that, we know that that's gonna be B2 highway commercial, no matter what's going on. But if you were gonna try to do a full development, lay out all the plans and everything else that way, it takes a tremendous amount of time to try to do the west side and the east side both at the same time. To try to do that, because our initial resolution does was 6 months on both sides. Okay, so to do that would be really, really difficult. This one gives an opportunity to, at least if they're interested in doing it, a chance to get started and to work on the west side. Okay, and give them that 6 months to figure out what's going on and come back. You know, without dealing on the east side of what's going on, which is more complicated as far as I'm concerned.
I would
So
agree. I
that
think
was the reason why.
the west side, I think it's a little more conducive to being rezoned to a B2 versus the east side. I can see, right, it butts up against some residential areas and we would want to make sure that that's appropriate before we're having any conversations.
Well, if it's contingent upon annexation, it's all a moot point if they don't do it, but I mean.
Well, that's why I'm saying they've got 6 months to figure out if they're serious about bringing up the plans to be able to get started on it. Okay, and, you know, maybe you say, no, that's the
Yeah,
reason why we did it, and that's why we
By
discussed.
that, because the letter to annex, petition to annex was given to the developer in November of last year. And we're 10 months later. And we still haven't received the letter. So what's
Well, and
6 months?
so this is a really good question. So what created all the issue in the first place with this whole thing? What's the issue? I still don't know what the issue is with this. Can you fill me in on what the issue is?
I can try. The issue is, per the orderly annexation agreement, a letter petition to annex is sent to the developer to be annexed. And that's what was sent back on November the 19th.
Are they supposed to ask to be annexed into the city, which is what my understanding is on the friendly annexation? You didn't do that. You asked them. The other way around is they're supposed to ask you, from what my understanding is, on the friendly annexation agreement.
Well, it's my impression that there was interest in doing the annexation by the developer. So from a city's perspective,
You're
we
dealing from a,
initiate a letter to annex.
But they have 6 months to do it
It
if
has
they
to be
want.
correct on the baseline, you know, how do you initiate an annexation? You have to have a landowner, well, pursuant to your orderly annexation agreement, that would set the terms. If you have an orderly annexation agreement, if you don't, the annexations chapter would govern. And so under the orderly annexation agreement, which this property is subject to, they have to petition to annex. I think what Ryland is saying is we provided them with a draft petition to help them along, and they haven't yet submitted it, so.
well, and I kind of go back to this, you know, if it was me and I own that 100 acres or 72 acres or whatever there is over there, it's my land.
Mhm.
And I have a decision and choice to do whatever I want to do with my land. If you owned it, you'd do that same thing. Okay, if is it economical to make it commercial, or is it economical to let it still be A1 and continue to be ag out there and do whatever? But it's that person's land, not the city's land. Okay, and so that's where I look at it, that's a decision that needs to be made either by a developer or by the person to request it, which is what the friendly annexation agreement says.
Okay, so.
So are you?
So what's the
gonna be-
process then for the
I just
developer?
have a question, I mean, you're okay then if they develop it as non-agricultural out in the township on well and septic?
Well, again, it's not my land or the city's land. It's the person's land, you know?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, and if they say, okay, we don't want to come into the city and they want to, you know, there's a well that's out there and whatever they want to do with the rest of it, I'm not suggesting it, I'm just saying the basic first thing is for them to come to the city to annex. And yet I have yet to see that from the friendly annexation agreement, and I've got a copy of it. It's spelled out pretty straightforward in what there is.
No, I think, I
Right, we
mean,
have in the
we
plan.
understand what you're saying. I think the question is, why does that equate to granting the rezoning?
It's gonna be no matter what. If she does something and she's got 6 months to decide what's going on.
What decision did this make? What approving this or decision just allows for another 6 months of discussion that in my mind should have been done 10 months ago.
Well, it should have probably been done years ago, but I don't know what the discussions were for years, because from what you had said, that you've been working on this for what, 3 years now? You know, I mean, that's what you had said. So, I mean, it's coming to this point, but again, is it one way or is it the other way? Okay, I mean, you can work on stuff and I can want to buy somebody's car, but until they want to sell that car, as much as I want to buy that car, I can't buy that car.
Well, this is the process that's the early annexation agreement with Riverbend Estates. That gentleman, that developer, came to the city to be annexed, to have sewer and water.
He came to the city.
Right. Well, we came to the city, but he came to the city, but the process started when we asked for the petition and he signed it.
Well, again, I'm going back to just that basic concept that there is. If it's my property, I have a right to do what I want to do with my property.
Well, I think that's the whole point of zoning
To a certain
laws, is that you don't, is that the city and the government control the zoning and the land use.
Right,
So if you have
except if you don't have an annexation agreement, they didn't come to ask for it. You know, that's where I kind of
Right.
get caught, and I don't know what all developed over these years, because we haven't been privy to all those conversations.
Well, I'm just telling you, in other cities we represent, we've had problems with little communities being developed immediately outside of the city limits. And those people drive on your roads, they go to your library, they use your services, and they don't pay any taxes. And there's a real incentive to do that. And so just be aware that that could happen. You know, there is a condition here that they have to, I mean, the developer's attorneys here, he said that's unique. I agree, that's unique. I've never come up with a conditional rezoning. You know, but do it if you want to do it. That's all. I couldn't in good conscience tell you to allow that property to be zoned for development immediately outside the city limits. I mean, I think there's gonna be a regret there if that ends up happening. And it's gonna really stunt the city's development in multiple directions out in the township forever. It'll be a forever mistake, and I just wanna make sure you understand that before you do it. So you can do it. I mean, it's your legislative decision to do it. That's why we put the condition in there. And, the bottom line is commercial residential development should happen within the city to make it orderly. You're right, ag land should be in the township. That's correct. I mean, that's rural development out in the township, urban development in the city. And, look at, we have multiple cities where this has been a problem, but Wabasha, we did a big contested case annexation there about people developing on the river right outside the city. Caledonia's got, where Joe's from actually, has got a big housing development right outside the city. And those people suck your resources and don't pay you any taxes.
But and
Just
again,
understand that.
yeah, so you asked Ryland, what was the rationale behind it? And the rationale behind it is, I don't know all the conversations that have taken place before it got to this point. I don't. I know that if it was my land, I would turn around, and if a friendly annexation agreement requires or requests that I make that motion to do that, without having a city say, we're gonna do this, okay? And I understand, I'm for the city. Don't get me wrong. I'm for the city of what there is for the taxation and what goes into that sewer and everything else that's a part of it. But I don't own that land. And you don't own that land.
And the land's in the township.
And the land is in the township, those are the facts. But you asked the reason why I did what I did, those were the reasons why.
And the township, the developer went to the township.
I
And the
don't know
township
every,
said,
I don't know
No.
everything that took.
You can't do that.
I don't know all those things. All I know
That's
is
been
what,
documented within the last year. So the township
guess-
said no, the planning commission for the township said no. So the option is, their response, annex to the city.
again, you asked for my
So
comments
why,
on what there
why the
was.
developer doesn't want to sign the letter to
Maybe.
annex?
Maybe it's
Can I-
I
developed.
don't, you
Can I
tell
ask
me.
a question, like a legal question? So in your conditions of approval on one, it says they must complete an annexation in 6 months. And then two is if those are not met, the rezoning shall lapse. I mean, so what is the risk of rezoning it, giving them a 6-month time frame to work on annexation? And if they don't, it goes back to ag.
That's what I was
Is that,
figuring.
is that what I'm reading?
Technically, that's not the way I didn't do it that way.
Okay.
Again, never done a conditional rezoning before.
Okay.
Typically, there would be no reason to do a conditional rezoning. I can't see any other reason to ever do it. For whatever reason, this developer does not want to annex this property because they've had many opportunities to do that and has not done it, which Jim is right. That's their choice. That's their choice.
So what is this approval?
So the condition actually doesn't say that. What it says is we will approve it. And this gets back to the origin of this, by the way, was the January meeting where the developer's engineer wrote a letter to the city, specifically stating they would develop this land in the township. If we didn't do what they wanted us to do. And so in that letter, they went through a number of things. And one of the things was they were their concern, they expressed their concern. Their concern was that the city would, if they annexed the property, the city wouldn't approve the rezoning. That was their concern,
Sure.
as stated by them, which
So
didn't
it's a
make,
chicken and an egg.
it didn't make sense to me then, it doesn't make sense to me now, but
Okay.
that's what they said. So I came up with the bright idea. Well, if you're worried that the city's not going to approve your rezoning, and that's your stated reason for not annexing, why don't we approve the rezoning contingent on you annexing? That way, the political process of whether you're approving or denying it is complete now. And you have that council approval before you submit that petition. And then why did I pick 6 months? Well, I picked 6 months because, I've done a number of annexations, quite a few. Our firm has done a whole lot. And I didn't know how long it's gonna take. I mean, so the last 3 that I've done that have been orderly, we did or annexation by ordinance that we did in about 4 months in Plainview. That was highly contentious. I mean, I've never seen more people at a meeting angry. It's been a long time since I've seen people that angry at a public meeting. But that one took about 4 months. I didn't know how long it would take. But then the developer's attorney, who's here tonight, you can ask him to speak if he wants to speak, but basically he was saying that his experience is that, well, wait a minute, we're gonna do all the governmental approvals while we're still out in the township, and then we'll annex. And my issue with that is, how are we gonna force you to annex? What if you don't? What if we approve the plat, the second plat, the development agreement, even if there's contingencies in the development agreement that we won't record the development agreement, just like all of our resolutions of plat approval say. He went through the process as if planning commission didn't understand that, but we've done a number of developments. We do understand that. So this is what I came up with. The problem is they're not, the 6-month period, as he correctly pointed out, is not enough time. It's not enough time to do that entire process, but the idea of this wouldn't be that they would do the whole process. The idea of this is you would approve it contingent, and then tomorrow or this week or next week, they would submit a petition to annex. And 6 months would be more than enough time. And then they'd have their rezoning completed and their annexation completed, and then it's just a normal development process, like the Hamilton development that you're familiar with. Or the Riverbend Estates development that you're probably familiar with. So
Mike,
That makes-
is there any reason we couldn't approve it for the contingent upon?
you can do that. I just don't think they're gonna annex. I mean, you can do that. I think.
Then we would know in 6 months.
So it's a 6 months enforceable.
We're wasting a lot of discussion
that's-
time.
What do you mean? Well, it's a good question. So
No,
the
I
way
mean,
I actually draw.
so a building goes up, how is it enforceable? That's 6 months.
Because we're not gonna change, if you read the resolution carefully, that was when I drafted this, was difficult to draft.
Stays as it is.
Right, but if there's a building
You
there.
can't develop it, well, again,
We're not going to amend the zoning map until the annexation is completed.
But what is the cost to the city before the development agreement gets signed? Cause we have to sign a cost security agreement. But right now,
That comes after their request for
Yeah.
annexation.
They have to
okay?
submit, yeah, they have
They have to submit the annexation thing, so this is like going before that, okay?
it
Okay.
feels like we're going out of process. So like, the city has a process that's important. It's important for this developer, it's important for the next developer. It's what, I don't wanna continue to have these conversations of, well, should we do something different for this person versus this? We have a process, we have a process in place for this. I think that process is important. We're saying that the east side has to abide by that process. I think the west side should have to abide by the process. The process is what we put in place.
No, and again, I mean, Mike, you heard me ask the question.
No, I'm-
Planning and zoning, I mean, I'm trying to figure it out too.
I'm not arguing.
And I'm not arguing what you're saying at all, Daniel, of what's going on. You know, I'm just saying, okay, we're at an impasse, we're in a situation that nothing is going anywhere. Okay, what does it take to get something going, at least try to get something going forward instead of staying in neutral? Let's try to move it forward. I mean, that's my whole thought. Okay.
So my concern is with the 6 month is that we talk about these, the plot, the drawings, what they're gonna do. Yes, we're gonna do it. I don't know how they're gonna do that without our city engineering being involved with that. Because if they are, our taxpayers are paying for that.
Yeah, but they've got their own
We're talking thousands of dollars without a cost security agreement, so.
they've got
What's
their
the
own.
rationale, excuse me, so what's the rationale then for, do you think the developer would sign a cost security agreement? And
Well,
get all of this before it's annexed?
Well, let me just say, it's my understanding, and I could be wrong, and the lawyer's over there to kind of help out of what's going on. But they're not asking Stantec to be the engineer that there is behind anything with this project. They've got their own engineering firm. I believe that you've known, and they've been in and they've put on presentations for us and everybody does it. That's their engineering firm.
And we have our engineering firm that speaks for the city. That's gonna have to prove all those drawings. And so we do the annexation after these drawings all been done by their engineers. We haven't had any input, whether it meets codes, whatever, stormwater runoff. everything.
I think that they know what they have to do for that stuff.
We're not talking accepting a plat. We're talking,
We're talking about making. drawings.
we're talking about a contingent,
Well,
a contingent rezoning.
Paul,
No,
that's,
not what the attorney said.
yeah, exactly, Paul, that's good point, but that's not what their attorney said. I mean, he was saying after you approve this, they're not gonna petition to annex until after we've approved the plat. That's their plan. That's their plan. Their plan is to get this approved and then try to do it within 6 months, which I agree with him. I don't think that's a reasonable to do I mean, we're doing one now.
It's not true. It's not true.
You can speak.
Well, I mean, you guys make your decision, but that's not what I represented, was it this last week?
Yeah.
Was I am trying to work through the same stuff that Councilman Phillips is talking about, is how do we get to yes? How do we get this thing? And the request that was made is how I think we need to move forward, is that we get the rezoning of the west side. That's the most important side. And my client needs to get comfortable with what they're going to do with that stuff well before any sort of preliminary plat or anything is approved by the city. They need to get their act together, and that's what that 6 months, that's what Mike, forgive me if I misunderstood you and Evan's idea with the 6 months. The 6 months is for the applicant to get their ideas together, firmly presented. Not, Mr. Mayor, the approval. We're not expecting the city to spend a dime. City has made that abundantly clear, is they're not doing that till they get a developer's agreement and annexation, whatever else they need to have. They're not spending a dollar. We're not expecting that. I read Mike's proposal. I assume it's your proposal, Mike.
Well, my idea. It was my idea.
Well, I applauded that at the time, and I thought Councilmember Phillips figured out why I applauded it, is it gives us, my side, 6 months to get their act together and figure out what they want to do and how they want to move forward.
So then let me ask you.
Obviously, I'm telling you just one part of it.
Yeah.
So it has to be soon enough, Mike, to your point is, so that the city can go through its process, the annexation, all that stuff. But we need to figure that out sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks where we're gonna go.
So if we were to approve this contingent rezoning that they're discussing, and there were 6 months, are you telling me then, because I misunderstood that then. So I thought what you were saying is that was a tight timeline, and my experience is, we've got to do the plating and then the annexation comes at the end. So are you now saying, I just want to be clear, that you're not going to submit any development plans to the city if they were to approve that?
I'm not sure what we're gonna do as far as how we're gonna proceed. But I'm absolutely clear that the mayor is right. The city's not gonna authorize spending any money on Joe or Evan or anybody else. We get that. We have to do our homework, and that's what I thought.
I got
That's
that.
all. That's all we're asking for, and I thought it was a very good idea from you and Evan, whoever gets credit for it.
So I got that.
It's helpful to me as a lawyer trying to figure this out.
So they transcribed the meeting, and so that's not what I understood, to be honest. So he said, it says this, and this is paraphrase, and I don't mean to cross-examine you or anything, I just want to make sure I understand, because I don't really understand.
If I misspoke, I misspoke.
And my caveat is that we've done a whole bunch of things in 30-something years, where you get timelines either to get the final plats done, and depending on the project, sometimes it takes more than 6 months. And so I was taking that to mean you're gonna do the plat within 6 months, which I don't think is a reasonable time frame to do that. I don't think that's enough time, especially if you don't know what you're building. But the 6 months is whatever time period is fine. We've had numerous times. So it's not, it was an AI function, so it's not really clear, but may or may not be a need to do that. It just depends on whether the client gets the plans together for their preliminary plat, final plat, et cetera. And so maybe I misread that. So what you're saying is they're not gonna submit a preliminary plat application. They're gonna get the site plan essentially and the plans to be prepared to do that within 6 months. Is that better?
I think I was probably just speaking up, trying to be
Yeah.
transparent as to what we would be doing. I don't know what we would submit, Mike, except to say, one, our side needs to get our act together as it relates to the West. Figure out exactly what they want to do, because they're not signing anything and they're not moving forward until they get that.
Well, they can't. I mean, they have to know what they're gonna build. I mean, this whole thing was, there's a rezoning, and typically at that time, not always, but typically there's a plan. At the time we get the rezoning from a developer, they've got a more specific plan. They know they're ready to move forward, and that's the first step. And this is more of a legislative, just rezone the property without a plan. Or at least a specific plan, other than the comment you made about doing something that's within the B2 zoning. We don't know what, but something.
They've already presented a lot of stuff that they've shown to the public hearings and people out there in the community. Everybody's behind it. It's not that we're against it. We're for it. I just wanna get things off dead center and let's kind of try it. Move
So
it.
why do we need the rezone right
Yeah.
now? That's so, if they don't know what they're doing, the future use land map is B2, that's been up on this wall. So they've known what the plan for that property is. Why are we going through this step now versus seeing the plans or the annexation?
Well, the one friendly disagreement that Mike and I have is my experience is not having the plans all figured out before you do rezoning. I always do the re-guiding. It doesn't matter. I'm not criticizing how Mike does stuff in his experience, but I like to get the re-guiding and the rezoning done because I don't want to spend money on preliminary plat. That's where you start spending real money. So that's why you do it. And the reason why I advise my client to go forward like this is the reason, is I'm gonna paraphrase Councilmember Phillips from the other night, and I apologize if I'm not paraphrasing fairly, but I don't know all that took place, Councilmember Spring beforehand. I just know there were accusations, there's some rancor that you shouldn't have in a development. Okay, I don't know what that is. That's how I got involved. So I was trying to bring down the temperature, and the idea of this request is, let's show some goodwill, we're moving forward. My client, for whatever reason, feels like the annexation, the development, those things feel premature to them. And this is just a way to start building some trust and some goodwill. We didn't come up with a 6-month process or a 6-month condition that Mike did. I thought it was a good idea. I said, planning commission, I haven't seen that before. Doesn't mean, I've just never seen it. So it was a clever way to build some goodwill. And then Councilmember Phillips, I think, highlighted it even better by focusing just on the west side. So we have a smaller parcel that's more immediately readily available to be developed and more, I think, more appropriate. Does that make sense?
Well, why not just enact it now? Why not just enact it now? I
No.
mean, clearly, the orderly annexation agreement, the city spent huge amounts of time, money, our sewer system that we spent 50 years to build. I mean, it clearly indicates that's going to be developed in the city. If it's going to be developed, you just don't know what yet, because the plans aren't quite ripe, let's say. Why not just annex it now? Then we don't have to do this.
I can't, if I could answer that question, I wouldn't have been hired. So I don't have that answer.
That's kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah, no,
I understand.
We don't know.
You have somebody else paying the
complication.
bills. We don't expect you to answer that question.
Well, no, I just don't know. I try to be really I've done this too long to not be transparent, is with the planning commission is like, I'm just trying to get some goodwill. This proposal by Mike, conditioned by Mike, and added by Councilman Phillips, just on the west side, will better help me to get the client to say yes.
So just one comment, there's been, this goes back to November, December. There has, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but there has never been anybody from the council saying we didn't want to move with it. That's been the case from the very get-go. The council has been fully supportive of it. We've never had an argument of why we don't want to do it. Because we have a sewer system, we need it, the city needs it, the community needs it. It would be shocked to have somebody vote against it. That's because it's always been a positive. So I don't,
Well, but you shouldn't speak on it. You haven't seen the development plans. So you're gonna reserve your judgment until you see the plans, and then you're gonna review it after a public
A
hearing.
general idea.
You're gonna listen to
This concept that
You're gonna listen to the public during a public hearing, you're gonna take all the information, and then you'll make an informed decision.
So,
I think that's
if I
what you
can-
meant to say.
make one,
that is, but we did have a
If I
public
could make one
hearing
suggestion.
on these.
On these, but like,
And
but
the
he's
west.
saying we're for it, well, look at the Hamilton development. I mean, there was kind of general support for that. They put a lot of work into it, final plat, denied. And then it got denied. So I just think you need to see the plans. I mean, you don't know what they're gonna build really.
I don't
we didn't
know if
see
you
the
can.
plans, excuse me. We didn't see the plans when River Bend came to annex.
Right.
We just want to annex.
I just want to make sure you understand that there's another process and fact finding, and you've got to take step by step. So I think what you mean to say is, in general concept, you're for
Yeah, it's a
pushing the
general-
city out and developing.
Yeah, and I do want to be, there is one concrete thing that, and I'm a little out of school because I wasn't the person with these exchanges, but one of the concerns was, what is the cost to annex and to hook up with city water and sewer? What is the cost? And I think I think you sent my firm a proposed development agreement, or somebody did. And one of the things that we will want to do if this is approved, TAF law firm will figure out what are those costs to see if those costs are prohibitively expensive or not. I don't have any idea, but I know that is a big concern, is what is the hookup cost? And that needs to be in line with what the development is. And that would be Mr. Mayor, that would be one of the issues is
So-
figuring that out.
Just so you understand this, and this was actually brought up on an unrelated agenda item earlier, you might have been listening, but this city has a unique, what I would consider unique. Other cities do it how you do it, by the way. You're not the only city that does this, but that we represent. And in fact, we have development agreement language for cities that do it, but the developer is not required to pay water and sewer connection fees at all. They're by the utility code, they're paid at the time of building permit application. So the developer could plat it and not pay any fees as a cash cost at the time of the development, which is abnormal. Every other city I personally represent, it's paid in the development agreement. I mean, you'd have to pay. And then the second comment I have is we have a utility fee schedule that Joe could explain, and it's based on a mathematic formula with equivalent residential units, and he can explain it in more detail. So, I mean, you don't know what you're gonna build, so I guess, or what you're gonna plat, I should say. So I suppose you don't know, and we don't know ultimately what's going to be built, so I guess we don't really know. But for example, if a car wash was built, that's going to pay a higher fee. Is that correct? Versus a dry cleaning business.
And that's, you sent us that agreement and I couldn't calculate because we didn't know. And that's why we're kind of at a log jam on that. So anyway, I've spoken too much. It's Jack. I don't think I even identified my name on the record. It's Jack Perry from the Taft Law Firm. I apologize. I'm here on behalf of the Gold Rush LLC.
So I have one more question. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I mean, actually, we can talk about it after.
Whatever you want. That's your show.
Well, we did find out that there was a simultaneous petition to rezone it submitted to the township.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering what your view of that is. I mean, it seems to me and us, the orderly annexation agreement delegated zoning and subdivision authority to the city. So why was that submitted to the township, I guess?
Don't disagree. But they actually asked that. We responded to that immediately. Is that there, my view is it's between, and what I wrote, I'm going to paraphrase. So,
Okay.
I could probably pull that for you, but Gold Rush is in the township. And it needed to submit that, whatever it submits land use, it needs to submit to the jurisdiction they're in. It is between that jurisdiction and the city to figure that out. And I don't I don't want to get into the business of doing your job, Mike, and reading what the annexation agreement does. My insurance premiums require me to cover my.
Yeah, I looked at the OA agreement and it says administration of it. And so I view that language, I mean, it's not interpreted or defined in the agreement, but I interpret that to be the city.
Yes.
That would do it. And so what had happened was they had submitted it earlier in June, apparently. And I wasn't fully aware of this. And then the townships told your colleague that it had to be submitted to the city. So then she submitted it to the city, which is what we're doing tonight. But now it's been resubmitted. That's what I just found out yesterday. It's been resubmitted to the township.
That's me. My insurance premiums say, let's do everything belt and suspender. And so both entities have it. It's between you folks to figure that out. And that's why you get paid.
So are you suggesting we have to act, or both entities have to act substantively on the petition?
I'm specifically saying that I do not want to get in that role.
Okay, fine. I get it. I talked to the planning guy very briefly today and I'll follow up with him on that, I guess. The county, the township planning.
Yeah, and he should have our response because he responded to our response. So,
okay.
I tried to articulate what I just did.
No, I think I get it. I appreciate
Enough
that.
for your ease, I assume.
Yes. Jason?
Thank you.
I have a quick question for Mike. I'm just thinking about this as we're all talking. With this 6-month term, does that lead us into a possible issue with it being considered forced annexation down the road where we say you have 6 months to do this or else, and they don't want to do it? They feel like they're being forced to annex in?
Well, yeah.
Is that an issue we have to worry about
I'll
legally?
be honest, I'm nervous about doing it because I've never done it before. I don't think there's any legal reason you can't do it. But I wouldn't want the developer to say, well, we've invested all this money here, in these last 6 months and now, and now my rezoning is I have to start from scratch, even though we detrimentally relied on you approving this.
Cause I know forced annexation has its whole whole other thing.
We're not doing, that's, I
I
don't,
just wanna make sure like we're not getting that area where it can be construed as forced annexation because we said you have 6 months or else. And they
or
take
else
it,
what, or else the,
or else they don't do it, so they feel like they have to do it type thing. I just wanna make sure we're not pushing those boundaries.
To Jason's concern there, you know, they're the ones that are wanting to develop their property. I don't have an issue with that. I think it's a great deal to do it. But I can't see where we'd have to say it'd be forced annexation because
I don't
they're the ones that
sorry,
are wanting to move forward with this.
Well, we're ultimately saying it's for, you're like, we're forcing you to annex in by.
Not really, because all we're saying is, if you don't annex in 6 months, it's not getting rezoned.
Right.
That's all we're saying.
and that doesn't prohibit them from.
Like I said, I wanna make sure that
doesn't-
can't be construed as forced annexation to their point.
I don't understand. I don't know. I don't think that. I worry that there'll be complaints that, look, you approved this and now, you know.
Yeah, I've a couple of things. One, I just not comfortable with rezoning a property in the township. Because we don't, you know, if we could do the 6 months and nothing happens, then we gotta. In my mind, I think we should rezone it back to ag, well, we can't do that anyway, so it's just, I just sense a whole bunch of confusion in this 6 month, especially, the developer comes to the city. Right now, they're saying they won't do that, but they come to the city and they just prolong, for whatever reason, we just get into a back and forth, back and forth. Well, we need more time. It's just things we shouldn't have to deal with. You just sign the letter to annex. You sign the letter to annex, you can wait a year or 6 months before you start doing anything. So I really feel we're extending ourselves as a city. It's not a clean situation. But more importantly, it's setting a very bad precedent for any future annexation we have, whether it's to the east of her property, south, or across the highway. It's just, it'd be back in our face again and say, well, you did this and this and this. Well, that's true. But the process is you have a letter to annex, petition to annex. That's why we set up the orderly annexation agreement to prevent things happening within the city limit or next to the city limits that we don't have any impact on it.
Well, maybe there should be, just throwing this out there, maybe there should be an additional whereas in here as that the city, and unless an annexation agreement is signed, there will be no plats accepted. You know, maybe that's something that needs to be added to it or something.
Well, I don't think you can do that because the orderly annexation agreement cedes or concedes zoning and subdivision authority from the township to the city. And I don't think you can tell a property owner, you're not even allowed to apply. I mean, we've already told them you need to annex first, and yet we got a rezoning petition. And I don't think you could deny it simply for that reason. I think you have to substantively deal with it because it's been submitted. And you gotta act on it within 60 days or within the 60-day rule. And,
Right.
so I don't know.
But when it come to submitting a plat, and if it hadn't been annexed to the city, they couldn't bring the plat to the city because we wouldn't have the proper jurisdiction to accept it.
Well, we are the jurisdiction to accept it. That's what the orderly annexation agreement says. So it's not just zoning, it's, if you read it, it says zoning and subdivision meaning plats, the process of platting. I understand what you're saying. You made good comments, and I appreciate that. And I'll just say it was difficult for me to draft that language because the only way I could come up with it is you really shouldn't change the zoning map. This is basically an approval that the city, without further council approval, can change the zoning map in the future, should these conditions be met. And they wouldn't have to come back to the city council for approval. And that was really based on that original engineer's letter that explained their problem was they wanted to make sure it was rezoned to what they wanted before they annexed. And that was the impetus for that. That was not, I don't just make that stuff up. I wouldn't have suggested it otherwise.
So
I wouldn't have even thought to suggest it.
Would the county accept this motion to approve the resolution?
What now?
Because the zoning map comes from the county. They put the map out, we don't. The zoning map comes from the county, so
Right.
would they permit a zoning outside our city limits on a zoning map.
Well, yes, I mean, yeah, you have,
You
so-
get, you could-
yeah, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, you almost have to wait till after the annexation
Well, that-
is given to us for the friendly annexation, then it would be done by the county. What I'm really looking for this whole thing is goodwill, and when you're at an impasse and you're working in business and you've been there, you try to work on goodwill to try to turn around to have that. So, you know, this works out well and everything's good. I want for the next 50 years that there's a good feeling that there is in there on what's going on and how this all came together. Instead of having a negative that's there, I'm trying to make it a positive on how to make it work.
So how, would it be possible to have an MOU of understanding with the developer? As opposed to not having to change our zoning map and take the risk of 6 months from now and just put together a memorandum of understanding between the city and the developer for 6 months.
You mean like as, you know, to table it tonight and have me draft that
Table it tonight,
as an attachment to this?
and
We
just,
can't
because I don't feel comfortable changing a zoning map or zoning something in the township that could maybe be disapproved by the county. I don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, so.
Well, on the timeline, that's the only thing I'm looking at this too, because we've got, what, 120 days or whatever what that time is. I didn't go back and
Well,
look at that.
that's my concern too. I mean, I was gonna.
Yeah, so I mean, it's something we gotta look at, otherwise, well, this will fall between the cracks,
Well, yeah,
all the
that-
work that's been done.
You have to have, I mean,
Your timeline would end at the next meeting.
on that, I mean, if you approve it within this 120 days, even if you don't serve it on the applicant, that's deemed to meet the 60-day rule, but I'm never going to advise you to approve something on the 120th day.
No, and that's, I'm just bringing that up, so we realize where we're at on this whole
He's
thing.
got a question.
So can I make one comment? I think
We should have out of order.
Mike, if you look at paragraph 11, I just want to address the mayor's concern. And this is a lot of funky stuff here, so I respect the concern, but paragraph 11 of the annexation agreement, to me, and I didn't draft that, I don't know, Mike, your firm drafted this, who drafted this, but whoever drafted this, I think if in paragraph 11, they presuppose that you would be able to do all zoning prior to annexation, because it says cities zoning and subdivision authority shall, which in shall is defined by state statute as mandatory, apply within the annexation area until the time of annexation. And so that means there's got to be a time period beginning, I guess, 2010, up until whenever annexation happens, you get to zone this 700-acre area.
Agree with that.
And so I think that, I just want to address the mayor's concern, because I was wondering about that too. And I think it gives you the authority, but I'm not your lawyer, so don't listen to me.
I agree with that, but it also, the agreement also sets the conditions upon which annexation can occur. And you're right, we can apply our zoning ordinance and map out in the township. There's no doubt about that. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
That's what I thought he was getting at. That's what.
But I don't think there's anything in this agreement that forces a property owner that's been rezoned by the city to annex. I think it's still, I think the exclusive method, if you look at the earlier paragraphs, I think the exclusive method is petition.
I understand. I just thought the mayor was concerned about rezoning them interim. So maybe I misheard you, but.
No, I think, you know, I'm aware of that point number 11 too, but I read it too as being, we can administer it. We can also, in my mind, when it says administer, you can either vote to approve it or vote it to deny. Maybe that's a bad interpretation of what that point 11 says.
Yeah, I mean, they're applying for a rezone under, not under the township or the county, the county ordinance. They're applying for it under the city ordinance. I mean, if you look at their application, they're applying for city B2 zoning under the city
Okay.
zoning designation, which is correct, I think, under this agreement. I mean, I think the city's zoning ordinance would apply. The only difference there is it's currently agricultural, and I don't think you have an ag district.
Yeah, it comes in.
But I mean, I'm just implying that that zoning is correct, you know, until it's changed under the county. You know, at the time the agreement was drafted, it was ag land. I mean, I get that. I guess the way I drafted the resolution, I agree with you in this point. I don't think you should change the zoning map at all until there's annexation.
exactly.
And I tried to draft that condition so that,
Yep.
that,
And
you know.
and I'm in agreement to that. I think that that's absolutely correct, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's unique. I've never done, I mean, usually this is what happens. Landowner approaches the city and says, what's the process? We say the first step is an annexation and they just apply. And in this instance, that didn't happen. And there's a real pushback on that. And so because of that pushback, it makes me nervous when there's pushback. And some of the statements that have been made. And I just don't want to see, we've worked so hard to get this city organized and developed correctly. And I would just, it would just crush me if this, I mean, if they develop that and there's a gas station out in the township on a well and septic, that would not be good. So I just want you to know that.
It's such a bad precedent. In my opinion.
Okay, moving forward.
So we have a motion. Go on the question.
What was the motion?
So the motion is to ordinance. We have a motion by Jim, second by Marie. Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orinoco, Minnesota, approving the request to amend the zoning map to rezone partial ID ending in 42 as B2. It's the motion.
But we're not gonna do the map. We're just gonna do the 6 months, all right? Because we're not gonna change the map.
You're gonna
The
adopt.
6 months is in the resolution.
In the resolution.
Point number 1 on conditions of approval.
Maybe rezoning, okay. That will- Okay,
And that's, one more question to, Mayor. Sorry. Before you vote. Okay, so, and that's on page, I just want, because you didn't include
74.
numbers, yeah, it's on page 70, beginning on page 74 of the packet.
Right, there's a empty page 75 and finishes on 76.
And so I would just, maybe you can amend the motion to just say, if you're gonna vote on it affirmatively on it, approve future amendment to the land use map or to the zoning map. Because you're not, I mean, this is a resolution to approve it in the future. If a condition is met. You know, we're not gonna
Oh, okay,
go.
just state the condition of approval in the motion.
No, I would just, the way you said it was not. I can't remember exactly
I
what you
just read
said,
the
but
title of it.
So Mike, are you saying add in that 6 month? time?
no. So it's an ordinance of the city council of Orinoco approving the request to amend the zoning map.
Then the zoning map to rezone that parcel number.
Yeah. Maybe you just want to amend it a little bit
Yeah.
to say upon satisfaction of certain conditions.
yeah. I think that would be right, because I don't want to change the map and unless they'll know it's there, and if they go along with it, then they can change it when they apply for annexation. Then the map will change at that time, but that's gotta come first.
So the motion will read as I just, ordinance City Council, City of Orinoco approving the request to amend the zoning map to rezone parcel ID 42 as B-2 upon satisfaction of conditions.
Wait a minute. Okay, I see. There's a page. So Evan, there's an extra blank page.
Yeah, 75 is blank.
And then I don't think this.
Not really, it has,
It gets up
it has,
top.
has the motion on it.
I mean, it has the motion.
This motion is.
This is just something with the Word document, it just messed it up, we'll clean it up,
So I would just, you don't have to, this isn't part of the motion. You can just clean that up.
yeah, that'll get cleaned up, we get the number.
All right, I'm fine with that.
And there is, of course, that PID in that motion that need, or in that resolution that needs to be
Correct.
amended in the. Now there
In the
for
First order
it be resolved, yes,
So that would be amended to 442, ending 442 as opposed to.
yes.
443.
So do we still need upon satisfaction of conditions?
Yes,
And as amended?
I think you should add that to the title. That
I
was,
think that's the right way to do it. I agree.
I don't think it'd hurt to add that to the title. Mike probably doesn't matter, but.
Any other questions about the motion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call. This is, either approving it or denying it.
This is for approving it.
For approving it.
This is for approving it.
Yeah.
Approving, yes.
Yes or no to approve it.
Mayor,
Yes, yeah.
ready? Mayor Ikorst,
Nay,
Counselor Phillips,
Yeah, yay. Yes.
Counselor Pendergrass,
Aye.
Counselor Reisdorfer,
Aye.
Counselor Spring,
Nay.
so it's approved with 3 ayes, 3 ayes, right?
Mhm.
All right, that's approved. So,
There's an hour.
Step up,
Sorry.
Do you have any other 1 hour thing?
Yeah, great.
all right,
I got the red flag.
Yeah, I want to go home too.
so I'm assuming we should go back to look at the other resolutions or ordinances that requested approval. Coincide with the denials.
And you're gonna give the numbers, Jason, then for those, for the resolution numbers?
yeah.
Okay.
So page 68, which is at the top of the page, it should say ordinance, not resolution, because it's an ordinance of the city council. We'll open this, so approving the request to amend the future land use map to designate parcel ID -43 as highway commercial. We passed a resolution, we approved the denial. So now we just need to go through the process of, I guess, voting against the approval to match the denial.
No. So, sorry, I stepped out to speak to the attorney. What's going on now?
So
We're doing the ordinance.
we did the two denials, and then the one approval that we just, but the other 3 resolutions, do we have to do anything with them?
No, those
You
are.
don't need to do anything with the other ones.
It's not. Obviously, you can't both approve and deny the same
No,
thing.
that's, I didn't know if it was just. All right, fire department. There's a request on page 85, 86 to do purchase a forcible entry door training prompt. $3,450.
Basically, it's a cement saw.
No, that's the tools that they use.
You're looking at the door frame in the picture.
It's a frame that you're looking at as they reuse the frame.
Page 86. So they're, page 87 has a quote on a PayPal invoice or something like that, shop invoice. And in my mind, we have forms that the fire department should be filling out when they request a quote, as opposed to a personal card with Johan on it. So I'm assuming the fund will come out of training, is that correct?
So,
Yeah, it says remaining training budget.
I think there's $10,000 in that account, so.
Make a motion to approve.
Second,
Second for discussion.
Marie, okay, thank you. Comments?
Where are they gonna keep it?
Well, that's a door frame, that's easier.
Well, no, serious. They talk about how full they are of everything. So just being serious about the space issues.
I guess my question would be, how often are they forcing open? I would need some numbers on how often that actually happens in this space, maybe it happens all the time.
I know they've used it twice, so
Well, that's $1,700 a time.
Yeah,
that's why I'm thinking that it'll pay for itself off of that.
Looks like something you could build for less than that. I mean, look at it.
Put a breezy iron, I'd weld you up something cheaper than that.
You go to the link,
They're talking about the saw also. The saw is what's gonna be the expensive part of it.
you go to the link and you know,
I mean, they're already going to training, I mean, is that not sufficient enough that we need to have our own? I don't know if we're big enough to have all our own things, if there's a local training that would suffice.
Well, I mean, they go to as much training as they can and they use the county extremely often. And the same thing that there is for Riverland too, that the people are down there doing the training and that. And I think there's been more training done over the last couple of years than probably has been done many years in advance of what's doing. And I mean, we're looking at wanting to expand too and get an opportunity to maybe go into the township and offer that it might come in handy for that, whether it be a barn or something else that's out there that they need to have access to.
I look at this and I wonder why can't they put the pipe in a vise,
There you go.
cut it off with a tool?
Like I say, the saw is the expensive part. You go over to a lot of places, you buy that cement saw, put a steel blade, cutting blade in it.
Are they asking for the saw or just the door frame?
So the door frame may be part of it, but
I know, I think it's just the door.
End user provides lumber and labor.
I don't think it's the saw, I think it's the door.
It's the metal.
what is it gonna do much good? Do they already have a saw? I don't know.
They've got some
They have
good
tractor
cutting
saws?
tools. I don't.
Too much on the saw.
Not tough cars.
I don't think the saw is included and I don't think any of the lumber is included either.
Dean, do you know?
What's that?
That forcible entry door prop, is it the saw or is it the door?
The door, it's a prop.
But the saw, you guys already have the,
Yep, there's already
Okay.
saws.
so it's just the
They
cutting. of
already
the
have a
metal.
saw for taking tops off cars, stuff like that.
So,
They come with different doors or is it just a one door thing? Cause I'm looking online and I'm looking at metal doors, full metal ones and there's some wood ones, but there's a,
Mainly it's for putting between the.
No, it says
putting between
all
the door.
metal parts and
between the
hardware are
doorknob and the
included.
latch.
End user
But
provides
then-
lumber and labor.
Is that your picture on that cane that's in there?
that's not my picture.
It looks like you.
That's it.
Might as well table it.
I don't know, again, if there's cheaper options.
Well, we can put it off till next month and see if there's anything else that they can work with and talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it would be interesting over the last year, how often they're actually forcing the door open.
Make a motion to table. Next month.
I'll second that.
They were tabling this till next month. They're having a fire department training officer here.
Yep.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Okay. Streets and roads, next item. We have a pavement management plan on page 87. That's something that's the city requested from Stantec. And,
Can I ask you a question? Who asked for the city to do this? Is this a speed limit deal?
No, this is
This
the
is a pavement management.
Oh, pavement management, okay. We don't know. What are you doing? That was a good.
Well, there's, it's good. You want to speak to it, Joe?
I certainly can. It's getting late, obviously, and the report there's a lot of information in it. Do you want me to spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Do you have specific questions?
2 hours.
2 hours? I will give you the quick version if that's fair. And if you guys have questions, by all means, ask. And if you don't want to do it in this setting, I'm happy to meet with people or give me a call too. But we talked about the pavement management plan. Really, the pavement management plan is to evaluate what existing pavement infrastructure you have, what is its condition, how can we best preserve it? If we can't preserve it, we're going to have to reconstruct it, and what are the costs for maintenance, extending the life through different preservation techniques, and then if we have to construct it, what does that cost? And utilizing all of that information, we kind of look ahead and we're able to forecast costs and help you budget and help you plan appropriately so that your pavements are maintained and hopefully improve the long-term condition of your road pavements and do that at the lowest cost possible. And so a lot of information in here. A few things that I would just like to kind of point out. On the first page, there's an executive summary, kind of talk about the square foot or square yard pavement maintenance options, and those being a couple different types of crack fill and seal coat that we've exercised in the city before. Obviously, there's bituminous patching. We've got some pathways that we want to construct. When you go beyond seal coating and crack filling, and then you start looking at edge milling and bituminous overlays when pavement conditions have degraded beyond what we can overlay and extend the life of pavement, then we reclaim those, that's essentially grinding up the existing pavement, hacking that aggregate back down and paving a new surface on it. And then we go all the way into the final step is reconstructing those pavements. And so really that's kind of what you see there. And as we looked at all of your pavements, we completed a rating of all of those pavements, and your pavements are in pretty darn good shape. Well, we've just reconstructed quite a bit of them, but about 81% of them are rated at a 6 or somewhere between 6 and 10. 10 being, a new condition, 0 being a gravel road. And there's a rating system that kind of goes from 10 to 0. And again, 81% of your pavements are rated 6 to 10, which is better than most communities. Kind of jumping through the pavement management report to page 5, there's a figure that kind of illustrates a typical pavement life cycle. You can see that a new pavement is rated at 10, excellent condition. Over time, that pavement condition deteriorates, and if left unchecked in about 25 years, that pavement's going to need to probably be reconstructed again. Our goal is that we monitor that condition, and as the condition degrades, we implement some sort of maintenance technique, and that improves the condition, and essentially we perpetuate that pavement much longer than the 25 years that we would normally expect.
25 years is with
no attention.
With no attention, no crack feeling, no.
Right. Right, and so, at different intervals, we crack fill, seal coat, crack fill, seal coat. At some point, we'll probably mill and overlay. And by doing that, we can keep that surface at a pretty high level for a very long time, keeping the water out of it and keeping it from degrading. And that's really what you want to do. If you look at the cost of the different techniques to maintain and preserve or upgrade, the cheapest thing you can do is crack fill and seal coat. And as you get into the more intensive things, the cost increases by, a significant margin. And so that's really what you want to do. A couple other things that are unique to Orinoco I'd like to kind of point out. If you jump to page 13, Table 7 is a comparison of Orinoco to other communities in southeast Minnesota of similar populations. And why I think this is interesting is if you look at Orinoco, you are one of the middle-sized populations at 1,802, but you've got 23.28 miles of pavement, which is more than double or almost double most of the other communities in southeast Minnesota. So on a per capita basis, you have significantly more pavement than most people. And well, if you think about that, there's good reason for that. I mean, you have some challenges in terms of, you know, you're divided by trunk highway and you've got a river running through it and you've got numerous large lot subdivisions with people with 1 to 2 acre lots. So you got a lot of roadway per person. And ultimately it costs money to keep that pavement up. And so as we kind of look ahead, you're spending more money on a per capita basis to maintain those roadways because you've got a lot of roadways to maintain for the number of taxpayers that you have. So that's a challenge that, you know, you should all be aware of. So then let's look at the figures. I always like to look at the figures. They tell us a lot. So if you jump to the appendix, there are some, did you guys get these? Yeah. Larger figures. And so these are color coded figures. They've got an aerial photo. You can see the streets. And the first figure, figure 1, is really the PACER rating that we went out, looked at all these streets, took measurements of the streets that we can use to estimate costs. But more importantly, we evaluated the condition of the roadways. And so you'll note that, for example, the red streets or the streets hatched in red are 10s. They're brand new streets. And then, you know, you can kind of see the color coding as the condition of the street degrades. And obviously, the worse the condition of the street, the more in need it is of certain types of maintenance.
Is the red, sorry, Joe, is the red a 10 on the map or is it the 1? The reds are kind of similar. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 10.
Okay.
You have very few ones, in fact. There is 10 colors, so you're right. It's hard to see the shades somewhat, but
Okay.
by and that's a different map.
See 1,
That's
3,
the-
that's all I see is.
It's really hard on my map.
Guys, here, I was just.
Are there any ones that, or zeros?
Well, you've got zeros, yeah, you've got some gravel pavements.
Okay.
So there's a few blocks of gravel pavement here and there that exist like that. You can kind of see the breakdowns in the next tables. There's actually matrix or a spreadsheet of all of these conditions in the back. So the spreadsheets show the area, the rating, the square yards, the lineal feet, the stationing from one spot to the next, and then ultimately we also show what recommendations we have for pavement rehab, and then what those cost. So the next figure I'd look at real quickly is figure 2. That is again a color coding of all of these streets and based on the condition and the last time that they received maintenance. Whereas, you know, whenever they were reconstructed or were seal coated or crack filled, we kind of took a look at all of those streets and we tried to develop a scenario where over an 8-year term, all of the streets would get some attention. And so really that's what we want to see with a pavement that, you know, they have a fairly short life cycle. And if we can routinely do crack filling, seal coating, and on occasion a mill and overlay, we'll increase the life expectancy of those pavements quite significantly. And so that's kind of what you see. They're color coding of when you would want a seal coat in 26, 28, 2030, and 2032. And then there's also some other streets that we would want to mill and overlay or reconstruct. You'll also note that there is a fairly significant number of roads that we would propose to reconstruct in the future. Those are by and large roads that are in the phase 1B area. We are anticipating that these areas will be impacted by utility construction with those utility improvements. That phase 1B utility improvement, and so, you know, spending a lot of money trying to rehab those streets and maintain those streets in the short term probably is not our best idea. So continuing to jump through this really fairly quickly, turn to the very end of the appendices. In Appendix C, there are some spreadsheets. Those spreadsheets, again, talk about the PACER rating. It talks about the area, give you some information about when the last crack fill or seal coat or pavement restoration was completed. The very last sheets, page 3 and 4 of Appendix C, is where it all kind of comes together. And so these are the recommendations for maintaining the roadways over the next 8 to 12 years, really, looking out. And you can see that there are projections for crack fill and seal coat in 2026, 2028, 2030, and 2032. If you turn to sheet 20 or sheet 4 of 4, you can see the costs for those improvements. You know, they range from $223,000 in 2026 to about $166,000 in 2032. Pretty significant costs, more than double what you're currently spending. And that might be kind of a shock to the budget. And I recognize that this is based on what we would like to do and see in terms of that 8-year cycle of, you know, all the streets receiving some attention at least once every 8 years. And then other streets, you know, being farther out with mill and overlays or reconstructions. You know, it's possible to maybe move this to a 10-year cycle if we just can't afford that. Do I want to see you do that? I don't, but I also recognize there's some economic realities here that we have to be cognizant of. Really what this tool does is it gives you an ability to see what things cost and budget accordingly for it. And if we can't budget it, well, we've got things in a format that we can make pretty straightforward adjustments in and project things out in different years and see what it costs. But at least all of the information is kind of contained within this report. It'll be a good tool for Jason and Kane to use, as well as council, to project what you're going to do and what it's going to cost and try to fit it to your budget, and, you know, also share it with public and other people that are interested. That was a real fast summary of a lot of data.
A quick question, as we get into these bigger projects and expenses, and obviously we don't need to talk about detail tonight, but would there be street assessments, sharing some of these big projects?
Absolutely. You do have an assessment policy. That assessment policy recommends an assessment of improvements for things like mill and overlays or reclaim and repave or reconstruct. Things like crack fill, seal coat, you know, most cities just handle that with LGA and or general tax levy. And so as we get into those bigger projects, there's definitely a component of cost that gets recovered. But in terms of the, let's say, year-to-year maintenance, those are things that we typically cover through the.
Yes, on figure 2, page 107, some of those future mill and overlay, they're 3rd Avenue and then 1st Street and Riverwood Hills and up on 6th Place, so.
Right, and normally we would cover those with, you know, we would partially cover those costs with assessments, and I can't remember exactly what your assessment policy said. I would guess it's about 1/3 of the cost gets assessed to the benefiting property owner.
Yeah, 6th Place is pretty rough shape up there.
It is. There's a handful of roads that, you know, we've got some settlements in, or, you know, we've got some really thin pavement. They need some attention, and the sooner the better. It's really a function of when can we budget to do these and make that work. in all cases, they, they degrade every year. And so the quicker we can get them some attention, the better off we are.
Is that 223,000 for 2026 in the budget or not?
It's in the CIP, yeah, right now.
Okay, so it's being proposed for 2026?
Yeah, that's for the
Okay.
stuff.
And, that's what we would recommend you do on that cycle, but I get it. It's a lot of money compared to where you're at today.
See this 8-year cycle, complete this 8-year cycle, the next 8-year, would that be fairly similar amounts, or would it, because of maintenance that we've done, would that drop?
I don't think it will drop. It will go up slightly just because oil construction costs continue to rise. What will happen is the pavement conditions will change. And so you might have, even with the seal coat, after 10, 12 years, you might have pavements that, they're getting heavy loading. They degrade in condition, and we look at it and say, the ride on this road is really not very good anymore. It gets a lot of traffic. I'd sure like to mill and overlay it rather than seal coat it again. And you're gonna wanna do that on some of your higher traffic roads, especially like Minnesota Avenue. That might go through a cycle and, we might see that kind of needing some mill and overlay because it's starting to see some cracking and some degradation and deformation, and
A lot of trucks in that road.
it sure is.
Yep.
So I make a motion, we approve the pavement management plan, summer of 2025.
I'll second that.
Second. Yeah, Joe, no doubt it's gonna be a challenge for the city, but it's just some tremendous, I feel good about having it. We have some direction and we'll just, the councils just have to work through this and we know there's growth coming and that will help our overall tax capacity to do things like this, so.
Good. Well, and as if you have questions or when you have questions, don't hesitate to call.
Good job.
So some of this will fit into our CIP discussion. Wherever that meeting is, yeah.
Do we need to vote or anything? You made a motion, do we need to vote?
Yeah, just, yeah. All in favor of the payment plan, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Go get your rest.
So we'll get this posted online then, since we all work it. Joe, we'll work to get some of this posted online to start getting the information out since it's been approved. So that way we can start just letting people know like, hey, this is the plan moving forward. And that way it's kind of getting out there.
Yeah,
I think it's good.
it's good for people to see, understand where their tax dollars are, there's a need.
The next item is our reducing our residential streets to 25 miles an hour. Starts on page 119. And there was a memo from Jason with some background. This comes over the streets and roads. I know Mike had some comments too, I think. Back in 21, which is on page 124. There's a lot of reading material here. DOT City Speed Limit Evaluation Report 2024 on page 126.
Well, all that kind of sounds like it's a moot because of some of the statements in here. So
Yeah, we brought this up, I'm thinking 2 years ago. We talked about this.
It's been on our radar for me.
And, should I make a
First they
motion
put
that
a
we can at least, yeah,
shouldn't say it.
make a motion, so.
You're making a motion to approve it? Is
No,
that what you said? Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna make a motion to approve it. I want to discuss it, but I don't want to make a motion to approve it at all.
I'll make a motion to approve it. For discussion.
I can make a motion tonight, that's it.
Say what now?
I said I'd make a motion to deny it, so.
Is that
We
your
have a
motion?
second.
You have a motion first.
Daniel did.
Daniel did.
Approved it.
Yeah, I made a motion to approve it.
And I made a motion to deny, so.
Okay, well, let's go with his motion first, because he spoke first. So is there a second to Daniel's motion? I'll second it. To approve. Discussion.
So my comment going back a couple years ago, and it's kind of, goes along with what everything is in this report. It's nice you can put down 25 miles an hour. You might as well put down 10. Because people are gonna go 30. And that's just the reality of what happens of what's going on. I mean, we're trying to get people to go 30 in my area, and that doesn't work, okay? If you put the sign to 25, they're still gonna go 35. I mean, it's what people are used to driving around this town doing at speed. That's what really happens. You know, I mean, that's, and if you look at the reports, they were saying out of a whole, you might get 1 mile an hour decrease, might, but that's it. So how much money do you spend to try to maybe get 1 mile less? You know, it's just, it's nice to have, it's good thinking, but I just don't think it's something that's gonna be feasible.
Well, I understand what you're saying because, you know, everybody drives different, but at the same time, the radar speed reports, and what our Sergeant Wren is saying, you know, there's a lot of cases where we don't have a speeding problem. And people are listening to 30 miles an hour. And at the same time, we don't have sidewalks, we have narrow streets, and people are walking in your neighborhood,
Oh,
my
absolutely.
neighborhood,
And
dogs, kids, electric scooters, all the above. And I think it's, and people have been talking, residents have been talking about this for some time. And I think to not listen to our residents would be a disservice to them for not changing it to 25. I think the majority of the people would adhere to it. There will be some people that won't, and for those, there's consequences. And hopefully nobody gets hurt. But the point, I think as a city, we need to take that initiative. This is nothing different than Rochester or anybody else that has, they do have sidewalks, but they have a lot of non-sidewalk streets too. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think our residents are looking for it. It's a proactive approach to try and help out.
I mean, if we're trying to reduce speeding, it's probably not gonna be a popular opinion, but a speed sign is great. But if we're really trying to reduce the speed, I mean, there's other things that could be done, right? I'm thinking of what are they called? Speed bumps, or, I mean, where you're not gonna go 40 over them.
you know,
mean-
tables,
Yeah.
okay, where you can at least.
Well, some people might, but most people, I mean, if we're really trying to reduce the speed, that might be a more
Yeah, and.
cost-effective
this-
option.
Yeah,
because you're
the
gonna have
signs
to
work.
put that.
Okay, except we only have 2. And both of those signs are sitting in Minnesota Avenue. You know, when they were out the other way, when it's flashing, people see it, it draws their attention. You know, but without that, it's back to the same what people are used to driving, and they're gonna drive what they're gonna drive.
I still want to know
That's
if they
been-
have 3 digits on
And that's what-
them.
that's what-
You get 0, 0.
I think the issue with the speed tables or speed bumps is who removes them for winter.
Yeah,
I think the speed tables are something that,
You can leave on year round, the tables will stay.
I think Rochester ran into an issue with that on Overland Drive. They tried putting them there by that school, and they were forced to take them back out.
The one that's over off of,
Them by Gage School, that's a different one. And
of 55th,
43rd
there,
Street.
yeah, there's some ones that have stayed in there, they're permanent. And they do a good job. That second one, you might make it over the first one, but you're on your brakes because you know what's coming for the next one. Yeah, but, I'm just being realistic on, you know, spending all this money to put signs in. You can make residents feel good with that, but people aren't gonna drive 25.
Maybe $2,000. At the most. I mean, the other thing was, is if we wanna
We could put the sign.
continue this, we could have public information meetings. This is what we're gonna do and show the map. For what, it's being proposed for the speeds. What page is that?
I think that's reasonable.
And I think that might be the next step, but to approve this, no.
I think that's an extremely reasonable approach to get more input. I mean.
And Joe,
And then they're,
If 47 is the map of the proposed streets, I don't know. if you saw
47?
that. 47 is.
oh, that's right, it wasn't earlier.
It's up way up high, but, yeah, I'm totally okay with, getting some public information or public, I mean, you can get the vocal people and them come out and talk, and you can get people who don't wanna, they're not gonna say anything, so.
the thing would be interesting too, is to find out who wants to have that and who's actually gonna abide by it.
Well,
Because those are two different questions.
The enforcement.
I'll abide by it in my
Ask people
neighborhood,
out.
but I don't know, you know.
Well, it's the same thing with me. If I'm a councilman and the speed limit is 30, you can ask anybody in the neighborhood, I go 30 or less. Just because I'm part of the council, I'm gonna go with whatever that speed is, no matter what. And I have people behind me on my tail. And it's like, sorry, guys, I'm on council. I'm doing the speed limit and they know it.
So should we just, should I withdraw my motion? So we want to amend my motion?
Now, let's bring
You
this.
wanna amend your motion to
I can amend. my
pending
motion.
public information feedback or something
Yeah.
like that.
Or reaching out and starting a
We
public
can,
discussion of this.
I mean, it's a great idea. Again, it's something that comes up that we talk about. It's just, you know,
well,
reality.
you will go 25 then if we did choose it.
I would go 25 if it went that way, but no, that's just who I am, okay, so.
Okay, so. Yeah, if you want to amend your, let's talk about amending it and work with city staff about how best to solicit public information. Whether we have a public information meeting for people to come in,
Certainly or
do
something.
your post-its, yay, nay.
Yeah.
Just
That's,
gather some,
the other thing is
or
that
online, I guess that would be the other option.
this increases the speed limit on some roads too. Right? So, but,
So,
I think the intent is that it doesn't increase if they're posted already.
if they're already posted
Does
as
it-
20,
Right,
they
they
won't
stay
go
at
to
20.
25. Okay,
That's correct.
that's good to know. But I accept the amendment as said to get public information.
Does that motion clear to everybody?
Mhm.
So I'll just repeat it. We have a motion to approve pending, no, we have a motion to amend the speed limit reduction plan, public information, with city staff providing direction on a online survey or in person reflecting public information. Favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye, oppose? Okay. Works. Didn't miss anything, gonna make a motion to approve consent agenda.
We got something.
What it is,
Parks and ERC.
There's a,
it's just an FYI, right?
yeah, I think we.
Or did you want action?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I think we want a motion to approve, thinking about Garden Park of not mowing except for around the picnic table, the lift station and by the road and really letting that park go back to natural habitat. One, because it is hardly used, and I think what we've been talking about at Parks and Trails is what's the right number of parks? We're spending a lot of time, Dean and crew are spending a lot of time mowing. If we're really not finding that value, we should try to maybe let nature reclaim some of that. And then the other thought would be to actually get a sign out there, so it doesn't look like we're just not mowing it. But really have it be more of a natural prairie, for the time being, for Garden Park. So that's the proposal.
So is this, once you go past the lift station, it drops down?
Yeah, and there's a
Everything
picnic
is
table.
south?
Yep. Yep,
But there will be a pathway to the trail that goes
Yeah,
into the.
the picnic table,
That's
yep.
back out.
yep. And then up close by the road, that strip by the road.
We'll try.
Is there a
find
trail
out.
back there?
What's that?
Is there a trail back behind Garden Park?
Yeah, that was put in many years ago, trail that goes into the woods and
Yeah.
goes down to the river. And then it circles back through the woods back up. The walking trail. We did that way back in 2016, 15, something like that. Took all the tires on there. Well, I think it would, if it generates positive things, that's great. If it doesn't, I guess we can change, but it's not for lack of trying, so. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Sorry.
Aye. Those,
We need a motion
We need a
first
motion.
and a
I
second.
thought Bree made motion.
I can make a motion to not mow Garden Park, except for the picnic table, lift station and by the road, and let it go back to natural prairie.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. Employee relations, sorry. I got way ahead of myself, okay. Which 166?
This came up last time about adding two holidays for city staff. That Friday after Thanksgiving and then Indigenous People Day, which is the second Monday of October. And so after some research really under Minnesota law, it's talking about official recognized holidays, which includes New Year's Eve Day, Martin Luther King Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, the actual holiday. And then it talks a little bit about executive branches, and some of them look at the Friday after Thanksgiving as a national holiday, as well as giving cities the ability to use Indigenous people as an optional day. And so our proposal and recommendation from ERC is to adopt and add both of them to have some observed holidays for our staff. One, to just really think about our providing overall job satisfaction, understanding that some of those days people want to be close to their family. And I think that's something that we should be able to offer as a small community. So I think there's some staff satisfaction kind of abilities for there. So the motion would be to amend our personnel policy and include those two holidays as an official City of Orinoco observed holiday.
Make a motion to approve.
Again. Will that affect any, meetings, timeline, deadlines that we need to get?
So it'll be Mondays, and I think one is a Monday and the other one's gonna be a Thursday.
I guess I would just suggest that if it falls up and then it would.
Friday's a half a day anyway.
We already
need
taken
to move
Friday
the
off.
Deadline up a couple of days if it's going to, for those, just take it with you.
Was it Friday already considered a holiday on this?
Thanksgiving Day is, but yeah.
Yes, I thought city staff wasn't here on the Friday after.
And it's only a half a day anyway.
It's that other 4 hours, yeah. So it'd be a full day.
Any other comments?
So, yes,
Sure.
on that situation, making that a full day, is that gonna create 4 hours overtime for everybody? Because everybody works 4 nights,
It would only be 4 hours.
the only 4 hours paid.
It would be their normal days, 4 hours.
4 hour pay.
And anytime you have a holiday or time off, You cannot accrue overtime that week unless you have worked, physically worked 40 hours. Then you would start accruing. So if you took a day, say you took Monday off, right, that's 9 hours. You would have to work 40 hours on top of that 9 hours off to start accruing overtime. So
I seen this. Just for conversation, I seen the situation where they rotated days off. And they would, if they got called in on a Monday, because it was their day off, they'd get overtime for that, so they call in sick on Saturday. They get overtime for it, whether they were there,
yeah, no, that it doesn't work like that.
just saying.
Yeah.
But there could be a potential that Kane or someone would get called in and those would be considered holiday pay
No, that's-
then for those days.
That's not our situation.
Yeah.
I'd expect that.
Okay, any other comments? No. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's approved. No business, there was a comment in
Yeah, good night.
Jason.
Good night, Joe.
Hey, thank you.
Coming back, I just want to ask.
Jason addressed a proposal in his memo for accessing building permits.
Yeah, which is I worked, we said we were gonna pull that off.
Yeah, that's been pulled off. We
Been pulled
moved-
off.
Yeah, that was removed at the beginning.
That-
It was removed at the beginning.
We took that off the agenda.
Yeah, we took it up.
Oh, yeah, you pulled off, it's just we're not discussing, yeah.
Right.
On to the next.
I'm sorry. So, Financials, it's just there for your review.
I had a question that, since we're looking at the financial part of it, I was looking for the check register.
At expenditure reports, we didn't have a check register.
No, I didn't see that in there. And then I had a couple questions on the financials, just real quick, not a whole lot. Not a whole
The
lot.
check register though.
On financials and administration under other, which is support 2060.
What page, sir?
The one that I have marked is different as it changed, but I had the old 136, since I tried to figure out what the new one is.
What department?
This is for financial administration and it's just other projects and we had budgeted 2,500 and we're at 4,992. And I didn't know what that was.
Which page you got?
Well, I
171.
the 171.
You're talking about 42060.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 42060. And I'm just trying to figure out what that is, because that's double.
And I'm gonna be honest too, I've been trying to update some things in here and I found like those last 5 numbers of any of the GL items, if I change those, the definition of that 5 numbers and it's somewhere else, it changes it on all of them. So it's kind of messed up a few of my GL items in
Okay.
BSNA. So I'm trying to go back through as I do this to
Okay,
put it back in, but I don't know what that is without, that's something you can email me about beforehand and we can get information beforehand, but I don't have that right now.
Okay, the other one that there was engineering, which is over under planning and zoning, and it's 42303. Okay, we had original budget for 12,000 and we're at 41,589. And the same
Page you got
thing,
there?
huh?
What page you got?
Yeah.
It's 172.
There you go, 72. Middle of it. Top third.
Yeah, you have another one in legal services, the 42302, you're 10,000 and then you're actually 61.
61,000.
Yeah, and then for planning service, are you talking about the 42302? Yeah, and that's what at 61,000. What else? I mean, these were just the ones that kind of jumped out at me. I know it's late.
That bigger one, I think that's the SEH. We talked about that last month. That's the SEH that we're getting in for the Zumba River Regional Water Trail. It got put on there. That's reimbursable stuff. We talked about one of the budget meetings. So that's why that one of those numbers is extremely high, is because that's where it's.
So that should be under reimbursable engineering fees underneath it then, which would be the 42304.
I'm sure it could. Yeah.
I mean, those are just a few things that
Next budget, yeah.
kind of jumped, off of that.
A question for Jason with the BSNA, is that something that we could not, on our previous reporting process, we were able to identify what was expended out in the month? The last month?
I can certainly look, I don't know, I'm sure that's there, I just have to play with.
Yeah, I just
the-
kind of
the
gave you an
breakdown
idea.
of it. Yeah, there's a ton of different reports you can run, so.
Do you want like month
It may help
end,
some of the.
month end and then year as of, or year to date?
Cause I mean, all of this, it shows balances at the end of year, that's the end of the month from compared to last year, but you're looking at like a monthly expenditure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Last
another
30
question.
days versus last.
Yeah, I had one other one that there was, and it's after that, and this is going for page 177, which was for the council packet for last month. And there was no mention on iWorks at all in that whole packet. I want to have that put in there as a note.
In the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It should be in minutes. I don't think
Not there,
it's not on the agenda, but
not there.
I'll go ahead and take a look at it, but
Put that under P and Z number 11. That word,
I have no idea what we're talking about.
it's the letter that he brought in that he stated he didn't want to be.
Added to the
Yeah,
iWorks thing.
yeah, which is August 11th letter that there is. So if you need a copy of that letter, I'll give it to you.
Also on last month's minutes, there's the Park and Trail grant. You have it in there 2 times. You have it under consent item and then also up in Parks and Trails. So one of those could be deleted.
Good.
any other comments before consent agenda?
Well, we're already into.
We're in content.
And I jumped.
We're almost finished with
Well, we
consent.
weren't supposed to talk about it. We didn't pull it out. No, you don't have a motion to accept the consent.
No,
So I'll make a motion to approve consent. Is there a second? Did you pull out some now?
oh, we already pulled everything out that we talked
Maybe
about.
some
So we've already gone
corrections.
through everything.
Second.
Let's go with the motion for a second then.
Second.
Daniel,
And we've already had all the discussion, so it's next motion to adjourn. I
all
make
in
a
favor of the
motion.
consent agenda, Mr. Phillips,
Yeah.
please bear with me.
Oh, sorry.
All in favor of the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
With the comments that we've made. With those corrections that
Comments,
we.
aye.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye. Not a voice vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? You want to make a motion to adjourn?
I just did. That's what we can do, adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
9:32. All right, thank you, everybody.